Hello everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Hey, Smarshy. Hey, Desiree. Hey, Liberals. Um, it is 12 p.m. I will get started right away. This is Breaking the Dam on Beaver Politics, and here we're going to discuss how we're feeling right now with it being 2 days away from Election Day. We've got tomorrow, and then Monday's the big day. And I thought we might talk a little bit about PP's drug reform plan and innovation, which is very scary and disturbing to me anyway, as someone who has been around somebody going through addictions issues. So I thought we could talk about that. Hey, how you doing, Smarshy?
Um, I'm okay.
Yeah, yeah, stressed.
A little, yeah. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
little nervous, but
It's hard not to be. Like on the one hand, I'm really, really confident that Carney's going to win a majority. On the other hand, I'm scared to death that he won't,
right.
because I've been confident. The last time I felt like this was when Trump won. Not the last
Yeah.
time, but the first time,
Yeah.
because I did not believe that he would beat Hillary Clinton. I didn't believe he would win. Period. Not didn't even matter who he's running against. Um, and I cried, and people didn't understand why I was so upset, because it's just the United States. It's not us, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. They affect everything that happens here, in some ways. Like our economies are tied together. Like we grew up watching American television. You know, like our culture is too embedded in American culture, I think. Um,
Oh, absolutely.
so
Like I said, like
I won't even
Desiree
watch
said.
American television right now. I watch all Korean dramas and Chinese dramas when I watch TV, because
Oh,
I don't want to have anything to do with American culture right now, because either they're, how do I put this, like television and comedies and what have you, because if they don't address what's going on, then they're not real. It's America's not the same anymore.
nope.
You know what I mean? So it just feels odd
You
to
have a
see it.
little bit of an
An
echo.
echo. And in 5 minutes, I'm quick charging my headphones. In 5 minutes, I'm going to switch to my headphones because of that. But they weren't
Okay.
charged enough,
No,
so I figured I would start for a few minutes, because I know I do tend to echo, but it takes about 5 minutes to charge. So give them another, wait till
that's
10
not
after.
bad.
Yeah, so
Not too
that's
bad.
the reason for the echo. It's my
I
laptop.
mean, I finally slept last night.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I don't know
I,
what happened. I got offline and I hit my pillow and I was out.
yeah, yeah. I've been. I actually did sleep well last night too. I might, yeah, it's interesting. Like there's so much going on, right now, and I'm nervous for Monday. Like I could go to the after party for my candidate if I wanted to, and I don't know if I want to, because I'm just, if things go wrong, I just want to be at home. I think I'll just be on Beaver Politics probably watching.
Right.
Yeah, but I
Um,
am if I am going to the Edmonton rally on Sunday,
nice.
so I'm very excited about that. And if I can, I will live stream it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, if as long as they don't have any objections to it, I'm gonna live stream it.
Right.
But I have to ask first. Like I know people have done it. I just don't know. Like I don't want to get kicked out or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
So I will ask them, but I don't know if I'm going to do that on my account or Beaver Politics. I will ask Beaver Politics if they want me to do it on theirs. If we don't have another show at the time, because it's from 2:30 till probably, I don't know how long rallies are, an hour, 2 hours. I'm not sure. So from 2:30 till whenever it's over. Yeah.
They usually
So
go for as long as they go for, I guess.
yeah, and I've never been to a political rally in my life ever, that I can remember. So this is interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. It would be so cool if I could at least shake his hand, but I don't think that'll happen with the amount of people that are likely to be there.
Right.
Yeah, but you never know. I was gonna volunteer, but I think I'm not gonna volunteer so that I can live stream if it's possible. So we
That
shall
makes
see.
sense.
Yeah, just because it'd be nice for everybody else to be able to see it. We
Right.
don't even know where it is yet. We don't know how many people they're expecting. It should be interesting. I
Right.
have a feeling it's going to be big, but
I have a feeling it's going to be big too, but
it's his last rally. But Edmonton is a tough spot, because we are like, if you look at the polls, they're very close. Liberal and PC are very
Right.
close in all of the
Oh,
ridings. So there's at
absolutely.
least half liberals or NDP
Right.
that maybe are voting liberal this time around because the NDP has greatly disappointed so many people on
Oh,
so many different
absolutely.
levels. That
I
whole
just
thing
want to
with
address
Diggy
this
is just
comment.
ridiculous. Um,
Can I address liberal suck
yeah, go ahead.
comment?
I'm not even looking at the comments right
Okay.
now, so go ahead.
Um, liberals suck. How can anyone consider voting liberals up to the line last year is make it make
Because the
sense?
option is PP, and it's a
Um,
terrible option.
no. How can I vote liberal? Because I didn't vote liberal the last time. So I'm voting liberal the first time.
Good for you.
That's how I can vote.
And I can tell you right now, I'm voting liberals because they have the best plan and the best candidate for where we are right now. It's that simple. PP, uh, I cannot see him on a world stage. And if I do, it's going to be embarrassing. And we're at worst, it's going to be the end of our sovereignty. At best, it's just embarrassing as hell, and we have to trudge through 4 years. At worst, we become the 51st state. I'm not willing to go for the at worst. So, yeah, won't be voting. And
Did
they
you see
just
that?
they repeat the same thing over and over again. Like none of them can really give talking points, you know?
Right. And the thing is, just a couple days ago, Justin Trudeau threw a birthday party for
His kid, yeah. And
uh,
he why can't he?
and conservatives were just saying, "Oh, he's stealing the taxpayers' money. He's
He
not even
doesn't
in office."
he doesn't have access to I know, like the level of I hate to say it,
And
but the level of stupid sometimes is just astounding.
no,
Hey
the
Falcon.
level of lack of morals.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's the thing is that I feel like the big difference is that people that are voting for PP are voting for what they think is in their own best interest, but they're not thinking outside of that. They're not thinking about their neighbor. They're not thinking about the people they work with. They're not thinking about, homeless people. They're not like PP's plan for Indigenous is 3 lines in his whole thing, um, because he doesn't give two
Nope,
bleeps.
he doesn't.
It's that
And
simple. He will do the
I
minimum he
don't,
can get away with, and at
and I
worst,
don't think if they don't realize, they just don't care.
no, they
If
don't
it
care and they
doesn't
don't
affect them, they
pretend
don't
to care.
care.
Yeah, they don't even try to pretend to care most of the time. In Ontario, it is what is that, Falcon? uh, Liberals suck. What is so sad that we're woke, is in awake and see what's really going on in the world, or what? But it's probably going to be quiet in here today because it is gorgeous outside. I was just out there. Yes, Carney has the best platform, and his is actually costed, unlike PP's, where the numbers don't math. The math doesn't math, and he's basically he's greatly misleading about his 15% tax break because it's not 15%. It is 2.7 or 2.25%, and it's only 2.25% in the fourth or fifth year, not in the first, second, or third year. Then tell me Liberal sucks. If you feel bad for me, why? Tell me what's great about PP's platform compared to Carney's. Give us an example. I'll even leave it open. Pick your topic. Do you even have anything? Tell me a policy from his plan that is a big one that you love. Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe you're just a bot. He's not actually responding, so I think he's just a bot. Correction is 14:11 hours in Ontario. What are you talking about, Falcon? If anybody else wants to come up and chat, we're just having a casual conversation about, let's see, immigration. Okay, barely awoke. He's not immigration. I was talking to Liberals Suck or whatever. Liberals Suck, the one with the really clever username. Pure vinegar bag. What? I will just boot you out of this if you're gonna insult people. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but not interested. Anywho, their plan for drug reform. Let's talk about that for a minute. Have you seen that one yet, Sparshy, or heard about it?
Absolutely.
You haven't? Uh, he is going to give $4,000 to up to 500 or 50,000 Canadians who are recovering from addictions, $4,000 to cover treatment. That doesn't cover a week in treatment, um, by current standards. On top of that, he wants to make it so that judges can force you into treatment. The police can pick you up and judges can force you into treatment.
So basically against their will. Do you
Yeah,
know the actual harm that it does for
yep,
that?
I do. I've looked into it. It's dangerous.
They have a 40% chance of unaliving when they come out.
50
Because they
by
usually
some
go,
studies. Yeah, 50 by some
yeah,
studies. He also wants to
well,
get rid
50,
of, he
40.
wants to ban or not ban, but cut down on the opiate treatment like methadone, which saves lives.
Okay, so yeah, so let's cut what saves lives and let's put in forced rehabilitation, which means the people that are most likely going to unalive from this, and I
Yep.
hate to be this kind
Oh, I'm
of
going to get my headphones on now because I'm having a hard time hearing you. And they should be charged. Give me a second.
okay, but not all people are the same as you,
Exactly.
Dustin. Not everyone's story is the same. Do you understand that 90%, well, I wouldn't say 90, but a good percent of the substance addicted people are indigenous people? And that's sad for me because these are my family that are going to be unalived because of
Mm-hmm.
forced treatment. They don't have, some people don't have the willpower to stay clean, Dustin. If
And
you
we
want
don't.
to come have a casual conversation, I'm up for it.
Yeah, come on up, Dustin. If you want to talk, I'll bring you up.
Like, I don't understand why people think I'm against people. I'm not. I
He
just
wants to,
feel,
yeah. He's not following science. PP is not following medical science and best practices in what
oh,
he's
but,
suggesting.
but you know why he's not following science? Because electricity comes from the sky.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's his words alone. That's his own words.
And he keeps saying it. Like, I don't know what his deal is with that one. They harness the elect, does it because it sounds powerful or something? My dad was an electrician. Like, you do not harness
My
electricity from
cousin
the
is an
lightning.
electrician. My cousin is an electrician and a plumber, and he laughed when he heard that. I was like,
Oh
and
God, I
this is
haven't.
the guy you're voting for, right? He's like,
This is the
no,
one you
I'm
want to
not
run your
voting this
country.
guy. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Where we're gonna get
It's
electricity? Just hold the cord. You'll get electric. Yeah, you'll get electrocuted.
Yep, exactly. It's
Do you
but
realize that how many people are gonna actually try that?
No, I know. Forced treatment though, it does not work. It's been proven over and over again. Does it work on some small group of people? Sure. A very small group. But most of them come out and just go right back to their substance of choice. And
Yeah,
with
and
things like
again,
opiates, they come back and they overdose because they think they can handle more than they can after being in treatment because their resistance has gone down and they take too much and they overdose. And it's very common.
yeah, and safe injection sites, whether you believe it or not, actually do benefit people.
They do.
They
They save
don't,
lives.
and and they don't bring the substance to people. What they do is they test it before they use it, that
Yep,
they know they're not getting a bad batch. That's all they
exactly.
do. They have testing strips to make sure it's clean. They don't like. I'm pretty sure if you ask people from the safe injection sites, they
Yep,
wouldn't say that they're okay with people using substances like that, but they would rather someone be there in case of something happening. Because
exactly.
and it's just fucked up.
And there are less needles on the streets because they have places to deposit the needles.
Exactly.
They don't just walk out
And
with the needles. Like they have somewhere to
okay, but
throw them away safely.
there are some instances where that does happen,
Yeah.
and
Oh
I'm
no,
not gonna
they
lie.
deliver. Yeah.
No, no, I'm saying there are some places that are safe consumption sites where there are needles outside.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I've seen it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen pictures of it, but it's
But it gives
not
the
like they're
option.
just depositing. Yeah, it's the better alternative. I
It
know
is.
one of
And
my mutuals on here, we disagree with safe injection sites, and we're all allowed to have our opinions. But
yeah,
if you look at the science, they do work, and they
they
are
do.
necessary.
Absolutely.
I
And
would
at the
rather
same
someone give me an option to go to rehab than force me.
absolutely. Yeah, this is all a great plan if it's optional, but he wants to make it not optional. He wants to, let's see where it says, yeah. So get rid of end the failed liberal so-called safe supply experiment that has flooded streets with taxpayer-funded addictive opiates, keeping people hooked instead of helping them heal. That is some BS.
Yeah, because
Uh,
you know you've never been on the street, my dude. You don't go anywhere near the street. You
maybe we should
don't
take
know
PP's
what you.
bottle away.
Yeah, maybe we should take his like injections away, because he gets
Hmm.
Botox. Have you ever seen him smile? He can't smile properly because of the amount of
Oh,
Botox he's
is
got.
do you think that's it? Like, do you actually know that,
Well,
or is that a
if you look,
suspicion?
that's me guessing.
Yeah,
That's just
no,
a
it's a.
guessbommit,
I just kind of
right?
thought he didn't know
Because
how to smile.
no, like, have you ever seen some patients that get in Botox and they say you can't smile for a while before
Yeah,
you, because his,
yeah. Well,
and when they smile, their eyes don't reach to smile, so it adds up, right?
well, he looks so disturbing when he tries to smile. Like it's so awkward. Because
I
it's not a
know.
genuine smile. It's a fake smile, and that could also be it because fake smiles don't go to your eyes
No,
when you're faking a smile. So it could just be that he's trying to fake it. Like clearly somebody's told him to smile because he's been trying really hard, but it just creeps me out because it
it
doesn't
creeps
look
me
real.
out that he's everyone's like, oh, he's not racist. He's got a wife that's Latina. I'm like, that doesn't stop someone from being racist. I'm
Tokenizing
sorry,
doesn't
that's
stop
not
someone from
how.
being racist. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just you are the exception, not the rule. Absolutely, Desiree. Absolutely.
yeah,
Couldn't agree more.
yeah. It doesn't. My husband died from alcohol addiction. I wish that forcing him into treatment would have helped. It wouldn't have. I I know what he was like.
No,
He would have drank the second he got out because
exactly.
he wasn't ready.
If you're not
If
ready and willing to get help, it's not work. It won't work.
Yeah, and unfortunately he was ready when it was too late, and that's what happens sometimes, and it's extremely sad. I know that because I lived it, but
Hmm.
I don't think that this is the solution. Like I
And
do we need
it's not the, and
go
I
ahead.
just want to preface for everybody in the comments, it's not that we're against people's choices.
No,
We just don't think forcing someone to do something is an option that should be taken away from people.
think of it like the vaccines. The conservatives are all crying about bodily autonomy when the vaccines. This is the same thing.
Right.
You're forcing someone to do something against their will.
And that's actually going against
And
our Constitution,
it
just so
is,
you
and they
know.
didn't even do that with vaccines. There was certainly pressure, public pressure to do it, but nobody made you do it. This is different. They want to have judges order the police to pick you up and bring you to rehab, and that is not cool.
Do you know how many people would actually run away from that situation?
Oh, a lot, and they don't want to offer nearly enough money for it because, like, there's some good things like the naloxone kits, but those are available free of charge anyway at your pharmacy. I have two in my house just for safety. I keep one in my car
Yeah.
in case I'm driving somewhere and see somebody. It's never happened to me, but I have it there just in case. So it's not like you can't get a naloxone kit. They're available at every pharmacy free of charge. So he puts things in here that aren't even an issue. Oh, it's the nasal naloxone kits. Okay, I'll give him credit. The nasal ones are better. But again, I think you can get those at the pharmacy now. They used to be just the needle kind. And what else we got? Compassionate intervention. Allow judges to sentence offenders to mandatory treatment for addiction to help people struggling with severe addiction. And also, sue Big Pharma for the addiction issue. That's an interesting one.
I agree, but I
Yeah, Big
disagree. Oh my
Pharma's,
God,
yeah. Oh my goodness, who
Falcon!
did that? Falcon, thank you so much. That is so awesome. I've never had a
That
gift
is
like
so
that.
cool.
That was super cool. Yeah, no, he's got a few things that make sense. Like the naloxone kits would be great, and speeding up a lawsuit against Big Pharma makes sense. Unlike conservatives, I can agree with a few things, but the overall plan sucks. They need to help people who are ready for help, and we do need more treatment. But we need more quality treatment that is that gives people options for what's going to work for best for them, because some people need the medication and the methadone. Some people do well with counseling. Like there's so many underlying issues with addictions. You've got depression often is comorbid. Treating the depression is part of treating the addiction.
Yes, I agree with Desiree. Suing Big Pharma is because they knew and
They knew.
promoted these.
Yeah,
They
they
knew.
did. They knew. They knew. So I don't see a problem with that. In fact, I agree with that. We should get some money out of them for this. But I definitely don't agree with PP overall and would never vote for him. But
Anything
I'd
but
like,
conservative, my love.
oh yes, anything but conservative. But let's see what else they have here. Or not a lot else. Just that they're going to, again, mandatory treatment. And what happens with the three strike rule then? What if you just keep using and get into trouble again and get picked up 3 times? Are we going to be jailing people for addiction issues? We already are, but are we going to do it like more systematically? And is that the answer? I don't think so.
Okay, Justin, you're the exception, not the rule. Please come up and have a conversation with us. We would love to hear your point of
And the
views.
key, yeah, and the key word there is good, in a good treatment center. Are you going to get good treatment for $4,000 a head?
Nope.
Nope. Oh, you're at work. Fair enough, Dustin. But you're not going to get good. Like I looked into it roughly, and the average treatment for a month is $30,000 to $33,000. So what does 4,000? What scares me about it is that I'm scared that PP is going to privatize it, and it's going to be terrible treatment because you can't do good treatment at $4,000 a month per person. There's just no way. So is it going to be really good treatment, or is it going to be rehab jail?
Okay, so here's the thing. I looked into a treatment center for something completely different than an addiction, right?
Yeah.
And they wanted $26,000 for 30
Mm-hmm.
days.
Yep. Oh my goodness, Falcon!
Oh
They
my
sent
God,
that to
Falcon,
you.
you're hilarious.
That is
Aw,
so cool. I love the
that is
dolphin.
hilarious. Thank you.
That is so
Aw.
awesome. But yeah, it's you it like you said, it's around 30,000, right, for a month, and
Yeah,
that's
no, sorry,
that's about
26,
average. 26.
26, it was 26,000, it's 26 to like $30,000 for treatment.
Yep.
And they wanted to do it for 28 days. So for
Yep.
28 days, they wanted $26,000.
Yep.
There's no way I could afford it, and it was a private clinic because I needed some mental health issues, and I didn't want to get help in the city here because the
Yep.
last time I got help in the city from the hospital, and I did a stay there, it was just put a band-aid on the wound. Like that was literally all it was.
Well, and like Dustin just said, it took him 5 treatment centers. Are we going to keep paying for these people over and over again? I'm not saying we shouldn't, but PP's plan doesn't discuss this. And what
Right.
happens when they get hit the third time? Are they going to end up getting that 3 strikes and you're out rule against them for addictions? You know what I mean? It's when you think of those things together, it makes me nervous. And again, the
It
four
does.
thousand dollars a person makes me nervous because you can't do treatment for $4,000 a person. Not good quality treatment. Not the treatment that might actually help. At best, you get a week. You're not gonna, like, with a severe addiction, a week isn't gonna cut it. You
No.
know. The government says if I join is called self-identification. I'm not sure what you mean, Falcon. But did you want to come up and chat, Falcon, or because you can? If anybody wants to come up, just request in the multi guest the little blue and pink box, little blue and pink person at the bottom of your box there, and just ask to come on up. Oh, we've got MLV Grind. I'm gonna check. Just give me a
Mm.
second, because I don't know. Hockey pictures make me nervous. They tend to
And
play with
they're not,
kids.
it's an 18-year-old. I've had conversations with them, but it's your platform.
I'm trying to find them here. Uh, well, in your opinion, is it worth it? Are they going to get up here and start saying things that are going to get us banned or blocked?
Um, no, I just think they're very, very informed. They're 18 years old, and every point I've given them and everything I've
Mm-hmm.
tried to talk to them, it's just an argument. So
Yeah. Is there something in
I honestly
particular?
don't think it's I don't think
Okay.
it's worth it, but
Yeah, like
that's
I
just
want to
my
have an
opinion.
intelligent conversation. So if
Yeah,
there's
and
anybody
he's
that wants to,
18.
yeah, if anyone wants to have a conversation about any of this, just request up. You got to be over 18 years of age, of course, to come up. Let's see what else. So yeah, I really worry about the whole addictions thing. I also worry about the indigenous issues because, like I said, the what they have on indigenous is literally like 3 lines. It's like less than a quarter of a page. So you can tell it was like an afterthought. And what was the other thing they
We're
added to it? I
always
know
an
they added
afterthought.
something. Always an
Oh,
after.
look at that.
Oh, Interstellar.
Stellar. That's
Oh my God.
awesome.
That is so cool.
No,
Thank
no,
you,
no, no, no,
Falcon.
no, no, no. I'm not scared to debate you. This is not a debate. This is a discussion. We don't debate human rights. I've told you this time and time again. I will never debate human rights. So please stop.
What human rights does he want to debate? I'm just
He wants to
curious.
debate, and I'm like, I've already told him time and time again. He's tried to come up in my life and debate me. We're not even talking about pro-choice. Like, see, this is the thing. You're
I'm not
pro-choice.
talking. We're not talking about abortion right now.
No, we're talking about why forced rehabilitation is not good. It should be up to the person who suffers from that mental health.
Exactly. We're talking about forced treatment is our topic right now.
So,
Hi, Mrs. Radical.
like, it's your call. Honestly, I'm not afraid to debate people.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to debate you. I just
I'm
don't
not
want to
afraid
have
to debate. We're
an
not having a
unintelligent,
debate.
and I want to stay on topic.
Yeah. Yes, but treatment should be their choice, my dude.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to
Hi,
look at.
ZB.
Hey, how's it going, ZB? We got some guest requests. Let's take a look and see what we got. We've got Mrs. Radical and ZB and
Hello.
Hello,
hey,
Miss
how's it going
Radical.
today?
How are
Hello,
you?
ZB.
Hi. Hi, ZB.
Hi.
Hi.
So we were just talking about PP's plan to force people into treatment this
It's such
morning.
a slippery slope, right? I remember when I was kind of more of a conservative leaner, sometimes I would be like, oh, that's a great idea. But
Yep.
I remember just before the Liberals went into office federally and they released many special needs people, many people with mental health, and they released them without a backup plan. So I work in group homes, I work in different environments like that. And what happened was the most vulnerable people didn't have anybody to look out for them.
Yep.
So, and I come from this really nervous because my son has special needs. And, you know, he's not somebody that needs to be locked up. There's
Yep.
nothing like no. And I also work at a homeless shelter.
Oh
And
yeah.
I see many individuals that I'd like to say are long term and life impaired because of some of the things that they've taken and done, that
Yep.
there's like no return for them. And
Yep.
I look at how vulnerable they are and I wonder, okay, what is it for them next?
Yep.
But then we know too, like we can't erase what we know. And part of what we know is that when we lock vulnerable people up, that there are people that will, what's the right word here? Prey on them,
Yes.
make them
Yes.
their prey. So I don't know what the answer is.
Well, on top of that, we've got, I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I can't find it in the plan, but it's a big, well, it's not that big. It's only 18 pages compared to Carney's plan. But he also wants to give police the ability to clear out tent cities and put homeless people in jail.
And so, how is that going to help anybody? Like, if we're looking
It's
and
not.
we're the workers, we've just taken away. And when I heard that, I'll tell you this, my mind went to wondering how implicit the RCMP and other groups have been to keep people and allow them to stay as
Yeah.
vulnerable as they are.
And see, here's the thing. As a person who suffered addiction, I know for a fact that would not have worked for me because my addiction was tied in with a whole bunch of other things. I did not understand what
Yep.
I was getting into. Go ahead, ZB.
So, like, number one, I've said this multiple different times. That man is an idiot and should not be allowed to talk on social sciences because he clearly lacks empathy. But getting into the meat of what, forced rehab does. So, you could go to rehab and you would do all the steps, and absolutely, like, there have been stories of people meeting other people who just end up relapsing together.
Yeah.
But until we come up with an actual system to address the nervous system trauma that 9 times out of 10 is a correlation or a causation of how people end up being addicted, it's not going to help. And you have to be able to address that nervous system trauma in your body in order to address the root of your addiction. And,
Exactly.
Getting into it, the majority of unhoused people are native and come from the ministry, which comes from residential schools.
Yeah.
I'm so tired
Exactly, ZB.
of saying everything goes back to native people and everything is political because it all circles those topics,
Oh,
like the
exactly.
intersectionality there, right? And that's where I get so annoyed with people when they're saying that it's not a native issue. Yes, that is.
It
But
is a
we are the
native issue.
demographic that is overwhelmingly represented in that stat. That is a native issue.
Yeah, 100% it is. And it starts there, and where does it go? And we know how that turned out. We
Yeah.
know how that turned out. And I also wonder a lot of the time too, like in my small area, why is it that all the vulnerable people are the ones that need to be locked up instead of the cook? The cook that made, you know who I'm talking about, the cook.
Yeah, no, yeah, the cook. Yeah, we
dealer.
got it.
You know what I mean? Those people, because I can tell you, I know exactly where the person that sells that stuff in my town is. I know exactly her address, and everybody else in this town knows their address. It is not a secret, including the RCMP. People have
Yep.
lost their lives, and she has less issue than anybody else in our town. All the vulnerable people, they will get shaken down, they will get sent away, they will go to jail, they will go to all these things. This person and the people that work for her, they are very comfortable. They do not fear the RCMP.
Yeah, and they
Thank
get
you
away
so
with
much,
it so
Falcon.
many times.
Yeah. I want to give Chance King. Can you tell us your age?
Yeah, I'm 35.
35. And did you want to add anything to the discussion?
Oh, I got so I'm a former youth in care, former homeless. I suffered with addiction. I overcame it. I now work with at-risk youth, teaching life skills and employment with nonprofits. And I am
Awesome.
starting college now, and I'm in my first year of post-secondary. And so
That's
I
fantastic.
really want, thank you.
Congratulations.
I really appreciate it. I don't want to interrupt you guys because everything you guys are saying is like really great. This is hitting on something so poignant to what's going on in my life right now that but I just wanted to talk just as somebody who's been on the streets, who's experienced the abuse of power, experienced the lack of awareness, experienced the lack of resources, etc., to then working in the field and trying to understand the pragmatism of it, right? What limitations people have. Now being in college, I understand where everything is going wrong. Everything. So these students in my so the first year of psychology, right? We talk about addiction as a mental illness, right? Which means that psychology is the cure. That is what we need to be looking at, dealing with mental illness. My first year of psychology, I have learned 3 times how to write an APA paper which I'm never going to use. I'm not here to be a
Mhm.
researcher.
Yeah.
And I'm learning about Freud and psychoanalysis, which are all things that I cannot use until I am a doctor, which is
Yep.
10 years down the line. But the majority of these students are going to be frontline workers, right?
Yeah.
They're just trying to get that 2 years post-secondary education or a bachelor's. And so they're not giving them any tools to actually help anybody.
That
And the
challenges
power
universities.
imbalance. Oh, the power, like the idea, like I had a professor who's been teaching psychology for 20 years,
Mhm.
and you know, she has no idea what it is actually like on the streets. I told her, she's talking about how great psychiatry is and that people with schizophrenia need to, see a therapist 5 days a week. And it's like, who the fuck could afford that? Who could
Exactly.
afford that? And her response was, well, you need to vote. And it's just like, well, you're a doctor. You're a most educated. Why haven't
Yeah.
you fixed it? And then they're like, well, you need to vote. And it's just like, oh my God, post-secondary education is literally the root of what is going wrong right now. And I just needed to share that. So you guys continue your conversation. I'm listening and I'll chime in too.
Oh,
Can
go
I
ahead,
address? Oh,
I want to address Chance really quickly.
Okay.
I want to say make sure that you are taking care of yourself in academia, because once you've been traumatized and you are in that environment, you need to be making sure that you are taking care of yourself, because it is such a heavy triggering topic.
Mhm.
Like
Oh.
at every time and point, it's going to trigger the fuck out of you. So I need you to remember to take care of yourself and make sure you are building yourself a safety network. And
I
gotta add to your little rant here,
thank you.
academia is like, for those that don't know, I was in school and I dropped out because of the hypocriticalness of it. Obviously money, but like it would drive me nuts to be in these classrooms to know that they know what they've been doing to Native people, and they have acknowledged that they know, and they know how to help us, and they refuse to do so
Yeah.
Why do they refuse to do so, ZB?
because it's profit. Land.
Okay.
Land.
Okay.
Because
Gotcha.
they want to be taken as seriously and legitimately as a doctor or a surgeon in the medical field or a dentist and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, that exists, right? It's $400 or $500 an hour psychiatrist, great. But there needs to be paramedics. There needs to be nurses.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Falcon, did you want to add something?
Yes, I was just typing a message to you, ma'am. Okay, so the platforms that don't know, so for example, corrections, law enforcement, who's signed? Is there an issue with what I'm saying? I thought I
What?
heard somebody sign. Oh no, I thought I heard somebody sign. But just to let you guys know that we have a contract that has an oath. So the oath says, now when I signed up over 15 years ago, we only had a Facebook contract. So you see your political platform right now, ma'am. This is Beaver Politics
Yes.
and JB Politics. The
I'm
government,
really
Okay.
confused.
I don't know where you're going with this, Falcon. Like, what is it you're trying to
the
say?
government is cracking down hard on us, saying that we're not to be member of any kind of political organization.
Well,
Who
this
is?
actually. So who's not allowed to be a member of any political organization?
The officers, we no longer have a voice.
Oh, police. That's not fair.
No, I'm not police. I'm corrections.
Okay, so
Oh.
corrections officers.
So you're not
Eh.
allowed to be part of Beaver Politics, or you're not allowed to have a voice in anything?
I just got in trouble for this because I love this platform, but I got in trouble because of another platform. His name was JB. And what happened is apparently these names say identify yourself as yourself identifying yourself to an allegiance is the word they used. They said it's an allegiance. They gave me a warning. I'm not allowed to go on to specific platforms that identify who they are. Now, let's say if Miss Becky had a platform, and she's completely independent. She's completely NDP.
Yeah.
I can sign up to her platform, but her name on her screen name doesn't say political. Because when you sign up to those platforms,
Beaver
now
is actually, we've changed our name to Beaver Network. I still have
For
to change
that
my
reason.
logo.
can you
yeah.
all change it? Because there's a lot of law enforcement. This is something, the elephant in the room. This is something a lot of us have been talking, not just about corrections, police, not just police, fire, not just fire, it's military. We all been talking about this, but when you guys identify yourself as a political platform, and I subscribe to you, I follow you. Now that gives me the conviction of a self-identity to a party.
And I just want to address this. That is exactly why we changed our name to the Beaver Network. We're having problems promoting ourselves as Beaver Politics. And we didn't want our members having kind of those issues moving forward. So that's,
I appreciate
we're not
you guys.
just
I love you.
political.
I knew you
We're
as
social justice issues. You know, we've got social workers, we've got mental health workers, we've got boots on the ground all across Canada.
So what happened when I came into the chat? It still said Beaver Politics. I'm just seeing the names change to Beaver Network. Maybe they couldn't let me stay.
On our main page, it's Beaver Network, but we're just working on the new
We're
headings.
just transitioning. Yeah.
Yeah.
The government comes after you. So when you sign up to do no harm and do all this stuff and defend this country, no matter who you are, corrections or police, military knows this all too well. When you sign up, there's fine prints. There's a lot of fun prints.
Yeah. Well, JB's got quite attacked by the NDP because of his platform and smart voting in
I
particular.
can't sign up to. I can't no longer follow him. I can't no longer support him because the identity.
He's a political target right now.
Yeah. Big time.
Oh, I know all too well about.
He's
JB.
a political target right now, Falcon.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
all
he's
too
a
well about
political
JB.
target. He's taking a lot of heat from every direction. I'm hoping it will wash away after this election.
Yeah.
And a
We're
smart
really
campaign.
worried about
You
him.
know what they're doing?
A lot of terrible things have happened.
I may only have one time to say this. They're trying to annihilate man. They're trying every police officer, correctional officer, anybody in uniform. Now they're using all of a sudden this. I got invested in this system like 15 years ago. I had signed a contract 15 years ago. Back then, we only had Facebook to just merge because internet just came out. Now all these like TikTok, Twitter, all these things are coming about.
Yep.
Now they're cracking down on the officers. They're using that law, which is law.
I get that you got something going on, Falcon, and I hope that there is a voice for it, but this room was just talking about addiction and forced treatment.
Well, hold on
and
a second. And I did not mean to intrude, but I wanted to let it know because
Falcon, your time is limited. You're not entitled to time, right? You came in and you've completely changed the subject. You've completely changed the subject, which, if you want to do it in a small way, you want to bring something in, take a minute or two, great. But this is like moving into 5-6 minutes. You're not letting other people talk. All right? And right now, to be honest, corrections, police, y'all just need to listen.
Yeah. It's
all right? This is about
for
addiction and survivors.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get back to that topic if that's okay. I wanted to hear a little bit more. Like you've gone through addictions, as you mentioned, Chance King. What are your thoughts on forced treatment?
I think that forced treatment is counterintuitive because the vast majority of people who experience addiction are trying to escape a totalitarian, authoritative dictatorship feeling of the world against them. And they're trying to find a sense of freedom. They're trying to numb a pain. They're trying to just make sense of it. The vast majority of people who experience, homelessness and addiction, it's childhood trauma, abuse, neglect. And so this idea that that you can just force them into it, and then what? Are you going to house them? Are you going to help them build a community and a support system? Are you going to ensure that they have stable employment with an employer who's trauma informed, who is aware? Are you going to be, what are you going to do? Because if you're just going to force them into treatment and then nothing else on the outside, they're just going to fall back into it.
His plan is for $4,000 per person. That's not going to get very much.
No,
That's not even enough for
$4,000
treatment.
is a month. A month.
I know.
Yeah.
My
It's
husband
not
works
even
in
close.
treatment.
Go ahead.
There's
Oh,
nothing
good.
consistent about it. $4,000 is no programming. It's locking a
Exactly.
person away in a wing and drying out. There's no programming included with that. And more often than not, there is also no housing on the other side. So when they get out, if there's nothing for them, they're returning back to the scene of the crime. How
Right.
do
Worries
we,
me with the 3-strike rule that he also wants to implement. Are we going to be
right?
putting people away for being homeless or having substance use issues?
He's imprisoning people to a lifetime. He's creating slaves in a box.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you know, and just to bring Indigenous people into this, to make sure that they're center, something that's really been bothering me, because I live in Vancouver, which is like the hub of addiction in North America,
Yeah.
just per capita. And because it's the only place that you can potentially survive in the winter out on
Yeah.
the streets.
In Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've noticed is the only real free treatment and even government sponsored treatments and things like that is AA, NA, and all
Yeah.
these. And it's just, they say they're not Christian, but they are. They are. But the other thing is it's just, they take places in Catholic churches. They take place, the largest shelter system in Vancouver is the United Mission, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just like, so what you're saying is that the government screws over Indigenous people, traumatizes them, and sets them up for failure. And then their only way for salvation is to come to Christianity.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go on a little rant for a second.
Please, I'm silent.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
So here's the thing is what I've noticed. So I'm picking on Alberta because that's what I do.
Hey, leave me alone, BB.
Is the fact that when you look at criminal justice jobs, they will tell you in the criteria, I'm pretty sure it's the one for Salvation Army, that they expect you, even as an employee, to believe in Christianity.
Yeah.
Right? And
Our mustard seed shelter is that way too. In
yes,
Edmonton.
which I do not agree with for obvious reasons. I'm for separation of church and state.
Me too.
Anyway, with that being said, it's time that we really acknowledge the fact that religion was used to push capitalism across the world. And remember, patriarchy goes with capitalism. So they had to use both of those things around the world in order to make that happen. And because we're the last ones to have gone through colonization,
Yep.
that's why they keep coming back for us, because there are many of us who know and remember contact before white people.
Right.
I will just note that Palestinians are greatly experiencing colonization right now. But yes, not to take away from Indigenous people, but in Palestine, there's a great deal of colonization and brutality happening.
That's a
as
G
well.
side. That is a G side.
That's a G side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It is
What's
what
a
it
G
is.
side?
Oh,
We're not allowed to say it.
You can't say the word.
Oh, sorry.
It starts with a geno and it ends with a side.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I get it. Sorry, I thought I said something wrong. Now I
It's a
get
word
it.
that'll
Say
get
Jello
live
slide.
taken down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with, oh my God, I lost my thought. But it goes back to the fact that in order to uphold capitalism, we have to continue to use religion. And that's why they keep forcing that on us. Is
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we know that they're like the way before, right? And that is the fight for our culture.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't speak directly on how the Palestinians have gone through things because of the fact that I do not know the culture that they lost. So I can't speak to how Catholicism has impacted them. Just
Right.
so we're clear.
And
Smarshy,
the
you
thing
wanted to
is,
add something?
and just to tell us about what ZB is talking about, when I was an addiction in my drinking or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I had people, oh, you know, I had that moment of, yes, God help me do this, but then I realized, no, He didn't take the bottle away from me. I flushed the bottle. So I'm giving praise to someone who's not even really helping me, you know? And
That was
Hmm.
my
Z,
husband's feeling on it too. It wasn't empowering. He felt like
yeah,
it was his up to him to do it, not up to God.
right. And that's the
Hmm.
thing. And ZB made a good comment the other day, and it really, really sticks with me.
Yeah.
I happen to live in Canada. I am not Canadian. I'm an Indigenous person. Because what is it that you said, ZB? We're not squatters?
No, you live on
I
Turtle
can't
Island.
remember. No, no, ZB had said it the other day in Monday's live, and I was like, that rings true. We are not
I am
squatters.
Anishinaabe. I am not Canadian. I am Anishinaabe before anything else.
Yes,
Mm.
I am
I'm a
Métis before
squatter.
I'm anything else.
Oh,
Well, at least
do you
you
know?
admit it.
You know what's really fun is if you take the picture of Canada and you
Mm-hmm.
put it over Europe, and you see how many countries, religions, dances, languages, ways of life, culture existed
Yep.
in Europe, and then you look how many fit in Canada, and the idea that they reduce them all to indigenous. They would
Yep.
never stand for that over there to be
Yeah.
like, oh, Italian and French are the exact same thing.
No, we got. Yeah, but we need to look at this, and again, the housing. How is picking people off the street and criminalizing housing going to help? How about we
It's
like have a
not.
plan to build affordable housing for people like Carney has, not just give tax breaks to rich people and give up land to corporations.
You know,
Like
and you make a
that's
good point, Jana. You make a really good point on this. I just wanted to piggyback off of something I heard about Carney. Carney
hmm
is now talking about taking the tax exemptions away from religious people. That is
yeah.
by far the best news
Oh,
I've ever
we're on the
Hmm.
heard
same page then. I didn't know which way
in
you were
my
going to go with
days
that, but
age. Oh, no, no. That is, I am all for tax exemptions on religious people being taken away because they use that tax exemption and they get away with way too fucking much.
well, churches like I can speak for Christianity in particular. They rack in like the Catholic Church racks in so much money. Like they are so rich. They don't need
Hmm.
your 10%. And
Right. Yeah, and I was looking at the whole thing about North America alone, in Canada and North America alone, they make $5.3 trillion tax free yearly just on offerings.
yep,
That's
Yeah.
disgusting.
yep.
See,
No, I agree.
that's kind of, talking about the mental health and psychology course and recognizing addiction as a mental illness is the idea that it is well known that the majority of addiction services is religious based.
And that's a problem.
And it's just like psychologists should like they should see that as a dire crisis that
Yep.
they're responsible for.
But chance they don't care, like ZB said, they just don't care. And most of the people with addiction and our is our brothers and sisters, and that's the sad part. Is
Oh,
he's going
I
to wipe us
know.
out by doing forced addiction. That's what they're trying to do. Again, we're still in colonization. It's just modernized now. That's all it
Oh
is.
yeah. I
And
don't know if
I
you
just
guys know this fun fact. Oh,
no, it's okay. Go ahead.
just a fun fact about BC. The indigenous population makes up 5.9%,
hmm
but their children make up 68.8% of foster children.
Oh, jeez,
Wow.
that is wow.
Okay, but we need to know what those actual numbers are, right? Because
4,600 and something children in care, and only 1,200 and something are not indigenous. That includes white, black, any race. But indigenous people make up 68.8%.
Mrs. Radical, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I do want to chime in a little bit. I wonder what it would look like. I remember a couple of years ago, a social worker coming to me with a client, and the word they used was unhousable. This client was unhousable. And first of all, I have to applaud my Indigenous community right now. I'm of Tanaha, the Tanaha Nation. And one of the things I'm really impressed with right now is they've opened medical centers. Chance, do you mind just muting yourself? It's
Oh, is
kind
it
of
Chance? I was
distracting.
trying to figure out who it was.
I
Okay.
couldn't tell. I think it is.
Sorry, I
Could be
don't know
like-
how to do that.
Oh,
I
that's
can
okay.
try. I can mute you. I
Okay,
got it.
thanks. And they're setting up medical clinics, and they're seeing everyone. They're supporting everyone. They're opening up just all kinds of programs out here, youth programs, programs for the unhoused. You know, they're just doing an amazing job, and I'm really proud of them. And they inspire me. And what I'd like to see is, instead of taking people and locking them up and going back in a way, you know, that we just can't embrace right now, what about like just creating housing that people can access when they want? And it's a slow, it may take a while to get to a place where they can stay in it, because a lot of people are a little bit I'm lacking the word I want to say, but they've been living on the streets for a long time.
Adapting. It's hard to adapt.
It is. So
Transitional housing. That's
yeah.
what we're going for.
So, for example, I had a client and he couldn't use that room really for 6 months. Like, he'd just have to come and visit sometimes and just
Yep.
put his stuff in sometimes. And then he'd leave and he couldn't have it. And then and we just had to say, when he's ready, it's going to be available for this person. And this person is going to succeed. And we keep doing it over and over again. Another thing I just want to address really quickly is the foster care piece. I am first somebody that I was in and out of foster care, so I have a deep relationship with the foster care system in Alberta. And I was the only YT child in our group, so that's something that stands out to me a lot. One of the things that I got an opportunity to work with my old foster mom in Alberta, and one of the things, she was so tired of dealing with the government and social services and the constant attacks on her kids. So she broke the relationship with Alberta Social Services. She got in contact with the Hobbema Nation, and the Hobbema Nation and her came up with a really neat strategy. I say neat. It's really forward thinking is what it is. What they decided to do was, instead of looking at a family as this person is the problem, they're abusive or they're broken or anything, it's okay. There's a problem here. Let's bring the whole family into the foster home. And the whole family functions together. And if there's a fail or a fall, that's okay. We're just going to restart tomorrow. And we're going to keep going. And it's not 6 months, it's a year. And, you know, we've seen families live in these homes for 3 years and do really well and go back to their communities thriving. So that's just what I have to say.
Cool. ZB, I just want to introduce Strong Woman, and then you can go next. Strong Women, did you want to add anything to the conversation?
I'm just listening.
Just listening? Okay.
I'm just listening for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll let ZB go then. Go ahead, ZB.
I just wanted to say that it's actually Musquecheese. It's no longer called Hobbema, because that is what they actually were called. Like, that's what they call themselves, is Musquecheese.
Thank you for letting me know that. I didn't know that.
Thank you. And Smarshy, you wanted to add something, I think?
Yeah, going back to addiction, and I was on another platform, they let me run through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it and break it down, and it goes back to colonization, and everyone's like, stop living in the past. No, it all goes to it. Because correct me if,
Exactly.
and ZB can correct me if I'm wrong, because I love their knowledge and I love learning from them. Colonization, pre-colonization, we didn't have fire water or the substances we have today
Yep.
or coming into here. And it was until the colonization happened. During colonization, it happened to be that it was their fire water they brought here. It was their substances that they were addicted to. It was, but offering it to people that have no idea what they're doing, it is basically a life sentence of pain and suffering because you're basically sitting here and saying, well, you guys have a problem with this and you have a problem with that. If you didn't bring something and introduce it to us, we would never have the issues that we have today. And that's
Yep.
my biggest thing. Oh, your family's indigenous. I got told by someone, oh, you're indigenous. Oh, you're just going to be a drunk your whole life.
Oh my God.
I'm like, the fuck is that supposed to mean? And I'm like, well, you know what? I got so fed up with people telling me that I'm gonna be an addict. I might as well just do something because I'm not drinking heavily.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't drinking heavily at the time, and I'm like, well, you know what? If this is what they think, I might as well just give them something to fucking
Yep.
talk about, right? It's that mindset of people who are non-indigenous and not part of the BIPOC community that need to realize the problem started when your ancestors got here. Now, I'm not blaming them, but I am going to say the onus is on the non-indigenous people and non-BIPOC people because of the fact that it is your ancestors that brought this shit, that brought the problems, that
Mm-hmm.
brought the conflict, and you look at our people as the enemy. We were never the enemy, and
Yeah.
that's just my little rant.
We
But go
brought
ahead,
alcohol and disease.
go
ZB,
ahead,
did
ZB.
you want to add?
Okay, I need to slightly correct something, and that is the fact that colonization is still happening. Like,
Right.
for me personally, and this comes from my child welfare file, I did not speak English. That my ability to speak English is because it was beaten into me. And in that, like in my file, it says APTN will be my cultural guide. When I came from native fluent speakers who lived off the land, that was supposed to be my cultural replacement.
And how long ago was that? I'm just
I'm
curious.
only 37.
That's what I
Oh,
thought. You look
damn.
young. Yeah.
Like I need people to realize like that is not that long ago. Like I am
Right.
still very much a baby. Right?
Yeah.
And when they say that, we cite firewater a lot, but realistically we need to go back to like what actually transpired. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, we did have animosity between nations because like that's documented. I can there's no disputing that. However, what they brought was violence against children. Because
Yes.
traditionally we didn't hit our children. Hitting children was something that they brought over.
Yeah.
That because we had looked at our children as gifts from Creator, and that's why we were not supposed to hit them. And that's where a lot of our trauma stems from, is the violence that came with religion. Because religion is the one that was used to uphold hitting your kid with a stick if they weren't doing anything, right?
Right.
Like, use the rod, spare the child type thing. And that is where our nervous systems became to have that. And that is not just a native issue. That is culturally across the globe, from everywhere.
That physical violence is acceptable in disciplining children, and it is not.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And that's where a lot of our harm has come to our people, is because of the fact that we started upholding their ways of raising children.
Well, because
Yes,
they took
I
away
agree.
the ability to parent. They put people into they took the children away, put them into the homes, and then they never learned how to parent because they didn't have parents themselves. They had abusive Christians raising them.
Yeah, and like I do say
an
this
industrial
did
setting,
happen to white people, and I know this because this was my first home. She was a teacher who taught all of my aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
Where did she come from? She came from an orphanage with nuns. The
Oh, no.
when I say that this is not just a native people thing, this comes down to how white people became white people. And I need people to remember white people is a social construct. And in order to do that, you had to go in there and give up your community and your culture.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they
This
did to
is
the
why I
And
Irish.
this
love
isn't an
ZB.
attack on white people, just so we're clear.
No,
Mhm.
and that's the
No.
thing. And this is why I love ZB. Because if I get something wrong, she doesn't yell at me or call me names. She just says, "Hey, Smarch, this is exactly what it is, and you're slightly misinformed." That's what I love about having this community I have. So thank you, ZB. I appreciate you again.
Yeah.
There's
And
also the mother's the birth alert. Do you guys know about the birth alert?
no, but that sounds
Uh,
alarming.
so up
Go ahead.
until
Yes, I've had one of those
2021,
called on me.
Happening.
up
They're
until
still happening.
2021, yes, I know, but up until 2021, it was legal for a doctor or nurse to flag Indigenous mothers as being high risk to have their child removed immediately after birth.
Yeah.
And so that was legal here in Canada all the way up till 2021.
Yes, but just because they're not legal does not mean they still happen. Because
I know.
again, I had a birth alert call on me. I had my son, horrible labor. I'm not getting into that part. Um, they basically the doctor told me, I don't think you're capable of being a good mom. So I'm going to have someone come up and talk to you from CPS. If it was not for my mother, who looks identical to the skin color that Jana is right now, just because
Pasty.
the sun is on, Casey, and I don't want to use that word in this context. And
No, it's
it
okay.
is, if it wasn't for my mother coming in and saying, hey, no, my daughter and my grandson are going to come live with me. If it wasn't for
Yeah.
that, I don't know what would have happened to my kid. I
Yeah.
don't
And
know if
as
I would have been able to raise my kid.
and I can tell
So
you as
they
a
do
white tea
happen.
person, I had no problems. I was in the hospital and out. No questions, no nothing for
And
babies.
people are like, no, you just weren't a good mom. How do they know I wasn't a good mom until I
Exactly.
told them this was my first child? I wasn't even out of the hospital. How are they to dictate what kind of parent I'm going to be? I love my
Smarshy,
child.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. It's so not fair. And
No.
as a white tea person, I was in the room with having finished having my child, and my roommate experienced the very same thing. And
Oh.
there's only a little sheet curtain between us. So I
Hmm.
could hear the social worker speaking to her, and we all knew in that room what was happening. It was the worst. I there's just no real good words to describe it. I'm really sorry you had that experience.
And
This is the
just to
same doctor. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Smarshy. It's okay.
This is the same doctor that told me you should eat more salad. So I did. I started eating more salad, and you know, it just it broke my heart. And then I was asking my husband
Yeah.
during my pregnancy how I was doing, and I was like, shouldn't you talk to the pregnant person to see how they're doing?
Well,
And
yeah.
he turns around to my husband and goes, is she always a bitch like this? I'm like, you are so far out of line for saying that.
Wow.
And then says what he says, and I said, Mom, I don't trust this doctor. I need to come home. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
don't stay with me, who knows what's gonna happen. I begged that doctor for 2 days. Let me go home. They finally let me go home 3 days after my son was like 3 days old. They let me finally go home, and I'm like, I am never having that doctor again.
No. That's
It
and
happens
and it,
way too
it makes me
much.
wonder, like if again, I'm just circling it back to addictions. Who is going to be overrepresented if we start criminalizing addiction?
I don't know at this point, really.
Indigenous
Like,
people.
I
It'll
know,
be us. Because
I know.
that's what my child file actually says. So my child protective file is 4 inches, and it talks about how my mom was a drunk.
Oh
Mm.
boy.
My
Oh
mom
my
died when
God,
I
I'm
was
sorry.
2. Like, it
I'm
doesn't
so
even
sorry,
cover me
Ruby.
being in care.
Mm.
Like,
It just
maybe a 1/4 inch of that is talking about right before I got apprehended for the last time.
yeah.
Mm.
And it
The
all
rest of
talks
it.
about how my mom is a drunk. My mom was a minor.
Mm. Do you know, speaking like I'm not gonna lie, my mom was extremely abusive. My mom had addiction issues. She suffered from narcissism and all that stuff. At the same time, I would never in a million years trade places with her and what she went through.
Yeah.
Right. And so I admit I needed to get out. Right. But something, just kind of touching on what you were saying, ZB, is my file. It's about 4 or 5 inches. And there was 126 phone calls made to the Ministry of Children and Family Development before the age of 12 for me, just me, and I have 3 other siblings. And no one ever took me out of care because my mom didn't appear Indigenous.
Yeah.
And so it's just like this, there, as somebody who didn't appear Indigenous, right? They didn't even try and help me.
Yeah.
But people, just because they're Indigenous, without any just cause,
Yeah.
are able to take them. And I'm just saying this as like a severe validation that they have left kids to die because they're white or black or whatever.
Yeah.
And then taken Indigenous kids without a chance. So that's all.
Yeah, it's
Well,
sad. And again, this got follows into addiction.
it
Mhm.
does. And
I
and the overrepresentation of Indigenous people in the prison system. I mean, I
oh
feel like this
god.
whole 3-strike rule and the
That's a direct
forced,
correlation.
like,
Oh, yeah.
Can I just
No,
can I
like
just add something that's
academically.
interesting?
go
Is
ahead.
that this is sort of it's on topic, but not directly. It's more talking about Pierre as the prime minister.
Hmm.
I know that there's a homelessness problem in every province, in every city. And my daughter lives in Ottawa, and she happened to work in the courts in downtown Ottawa for a year and a half. And the homeless there, in the wintertime, sometimes they'll do petty theft in order to have a warm bed, to have a meal, and to have safety and shelter, even if they do it on a Friday night. They are in for Saturday, Sunday. And so I'm thinking and like talking about this election and Pierre and his rules. I'm just trying to tie that into that. And I'm wondering, why he wasn't a champion for the homeless in Ottawa all of his 20 years, or doing anything to take up that cause or to do anything to
I would.
champion it.
He doesn't care. He wants to clean it up for the people like us that aren't homeless, so we don't have to look at it. He doesn't
Well,
actually care about the homeless. Does that make sense? That's
no,
how I view
I
it.
to-
Yeah.
no, I totally agree. That's what I'm trying to bring to light is that he doesn't.
No.
I, I, because Ottawa, downtown Ottawa is, it is rife with homelessness,
Hmm.
and
So is Edmonton.
you know,
Yeah.
yep, every
It's a
city
challenge.
does, but yeah, and it is a challenge. But I'm talking like even in relation to the 3-strike rule. I mean, back to petty theft. I mean, people will just steal a chocolate bar. It's not about eating that or whatever. It's about shelter. It's about safety. It's
And how
about
long, yeah, before they fall into the
care.
3-strike rule and end up
Exactly.
in jail
And
just because of petty theft,
and are we
just to
going to
stay
be
warm.
able to? How are we going to be able to house all these criminals? And it talks about the cost of somebody being. Why are we not talking about that and how much it costs to keep
A lot.
someone in prison?
A lot. And we
I
don't
just
have space. Our prisons are overcrowded. They're at
And we don't
110
have
to
the like
150% capacity.
that costs money.
Big time. Keeping
Mhm.
someone in prison is very expensive.
can I just want to say something before I go because I actually do have a meeting to go to with
Okay,
a bunch
go
of
ahead.
Indigenous mutuals.
Awesome.
Here's the thing. I have a friend. I'm just gonna share a little bit of her story, and I will preference this is not my story. This is another friend's story. Um, the thing is, she was in some store. I'm not gonna give too much detail. She was in a store and she had her bag of bought groceries from some other place. She went to another little store to pick up something, and this man told her they wanted her to un- um, they wanted her, instead of asking her to leave her bag at the beginning of the store, at the front of the
Mhm.
store before she came in, didn't say one word. The minute she came to pay for her stuff, she was like accosted. Well, like not physically accosted, but she was
Mhm.
accosted
Stopped.
nonetheless, and asked to empty out her bag because they thought she was stealing. Now,
Yeah.
she's from the same nation, I do believe, as myself. It is imperative that we understand that we're all considered just drunks. It is imperative that we understand there is intersectionality on everything. With that being said, ZB, love your knowledge. We have to get together and have a conversation or a live because you could really help me learn some more stuff. Because I love picking your brain. Chance, congratulations on doing what you got to do. That's phenomenal. Strong woman. Love hearing your voice and your input. Jen, as
Thanks.
always, it's been lovely, my love. I appreciate you guys having me up here.
No problems,
It's
Marcia.
been a
Anytime.
slice.
Yes,
Nice to
it's
meet you.
I learned so much because it's not that I don't care. I just don't know everything to talk about. So every time we come in and we're talking about indigenous and we're talking about that, I just stay quiet because I just learn so much from everybody and everyone's experiences. And one way it's sort of sad to say because I'm a Canadian all my life, born and raised. So I mean, you know, it's important to listen and learn. But
It is,
I
and
just
it's
want I just
yeah.
wanted to throw what I know of the courts, and I'm like, in reference to this very important election, this guy throws out stuff like that, and this is not in any way what he's doing any type of resolve. That I
Mm.
know. You don't have to know about the plight or down
No,
to the all of the experiences to know that part, that this is not a resolution, this
no,
is not a
it's not a
solution
solution.
in any way.
No.
And I'm like, only
It,
now it's you
this is a
just
solution for the people that walk downtown don't like to see the homeless people, and I know about this because of experience, and complain about it and want the streets cleaned up. And they don't care about what happens to the people as long as they don't have to see it.
mhm.
This
I
is a
mean,
solution for them, and that's not what we should be looking at. We should be looking at
No,
helping these people, not just getting them out of the way.
a thousand
It doesn't.
percent, 1,000%.
it I mean, this might come across as a little conspiracy theory, but um, I genuinely like. I don't see the value under capitalism
Mhm.
to solve homelessness.
Yeah.
I don't see the value in it because one, well, then what's the value of a charity where I can
Yeah.
hide my donations and foundations and tax write-offs? What's the point of the church, which allows me to maintain power and influence and control? You
Thank
know
you, Lori. Hmm.
what genuinely like what value do the rich or the powerful actually have in solving the issue? And I think that at the end of the day is kind of a real question to ask.
Well, it's a social issue. You cannot solve it without like without dealing with mental health and trauma, because people that are on the
Hmm.
streets, people that have addictions issues, there's often trauma underneath all of that, and mental health challenges, and they
Hmm.
need and just sometimes learning how to have a home. Like it's kind of almost a
I would just like,
rehabilitation, because you can't just take someone who's been on the street for 5 years and throw them into an apartment and walk away. It doesn't work that way. There
yeah.
needs to be
And I
support.
just also just the like people who are couch surfing and like the what is it called, the hidden homeless
Yeah,
and
couch
stuff.
surfing is common. Yeah.
Couch surfing, yeah, that's one thing, but like the thing with like the people that are like out there on the streets,
Yeah.
this is something that I get people to try and do as a thought experiment.
Hmm.
How low would you have to be in your life to accept that?
Yeah.
How dysfunctional would you as a person need to be in your mind to feel that that is your best option and that you would want to survive in that? And
Well, I think
if you can Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, often it's there is no option left. Like, my husband, I've talked about before. He passed away from PTSD from the addictions issues, which was alcohol. Near the end, if he had been able to recover, he had brain damage from the drinking, and he was unable to work. He would have, if I wouldn't have swooped in to save him, he would have ended up homeless if he had lived.
Hmm.
And he was a veteran. He was a hard worker his whole life. You know, this is not someone who you would expect. He was a very high functioning drinker for many years until he wasn't.
Hmm.
But that's what happens, right? Is that it got to a point where he wasn't high functioning anymore, and things started falling apart. He lost his job. He lost his income. He, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And houselessness was next. If I wouldn't have you know, been willing to take him in if that happened, like it was a really my point is that people don't become homeless because they're not hard workers. People don't become homeless because they're lazy. You know, people become homeless because of mental health and trauma and addictions, and it
Hmm.
the how do I put this, the carpet is ripped out from underneath them. You know, like you can see the spiral, and that's what happens to some people. And then when you live like that for years, it's hard to go back because you get used to it. But go ahead.
Um, I just wanted to say to Chance, if you have your file, you are eligible to sue the ministry for not removing you. If it is well documented that you should have been apprehended, you can
That's
sue the
good
ministry,
information.
and the ministry does have money set aside to be sued because they get sued so often.
I'm actually working on a project right now with a couple of people in that are working towards getting their human rights degree. And I'm trying to come up with a class action lawsuit against the Ministry of Children and Family Development for chronic physical, emotional abuse and neglect within the system. And that, which includes housing individuals with people with mental illness and addiction issues, with gang affiliations and crime, involving police constantly when youth go missing or don't return home from school, not ensuring that they graduate high school. The majority end up homeless or struggling. And so, if you are to say that the Ministry of Children and Family Development was trying to protect children from abusive homes to give them a better opportunity, they have the highest rate of bad outcomes for their children than anybody else. And so, I'm working on a class action lawsuit for that.
Good for you.
It's failure. Because
Yeah.
when you actually, like, this is why I am so passionate about Indigenous rights and
Mhm.
child welfare, is because of the fact that I have been told time and time and time and time again, like when I tell my story, like my life story, every psychiatrist, psychologist, and police and social worker look at me and they're like, how are you not an addict?
Oh my God, me too. We should be friends.
Yes, because of that. And I'm sitting here like, that's not normal to say to anybody. Like, the fact that you know your system is such an abhorrent failure,
Yeah.
and you
That says something.
continue to remove
Well-
children when you know the statistical outcomes of where they will end up. You like,
Mhm.
it makes me crash the fuck out. Like,
Do you know what,
if want to
ZB?
see me crash out, it is talking about this, because it is to be told, because all of my cousins are, not all of them, but the majority of my cousins are addicts and have been in severe addiction, who have gone through a magnitude of things. And when we all have the same story, and I'm the only one who is quote unquote successful, it makes me rage, because I look at the fact that the reason why I was treated differently is because I am a lighter skinned Nietzsche.
Mhm.
Right? And that's where I get mad, because then it's, my cousins quite literally had their humanity stripped from them as children, and they were some down to how they died.
Yeah.
And that is
Do you know what?
the most horrific things. Like, I'm trying not to cry right now because it still makes me feel like be so angry.
I 1,000% understand everything you're saying. I just want to validate that there's another human being who knows exactly what you're talking about. And I have recently found something to it that maybe could help you. As I used to, like, people would tell me, like, you should be a crackhead. Like, people with your story, like, you shouldn't be here. And it's just like, I'm quite successful, I'm intelligent, and I keep myself alive. But you know what? Do you know why? Because I am a reckoning. I am here to call out power, to be able to speak for the people who didn't survive it, who are addicts. I am intelligent, and it sucks and it feels hard. It's an unbearable weight to carry.
Yeah.
But it's because we are here to be the reckoning and the voice to those in power and tell them to shut the fuck up. So you know what? Take that rage. Use it. You're meant to.
But I was looking at what Lori's talking about in the comments. Lori, did you want to come up and talk about it at all? In her community, they're building tents, like heated tents. And what else did they say? They set up heated tents with protection. Now they're building containers to help house. Like that is better than. And I think like Carney's plan with the homes, the modular homes, is a great idea as well. I think we need smaller homes. I lived in a PMQ, which is basically what he's talking about building, and with a few little design changes to modernize it, they would be great. They have 2 bedrooms upstairs, 1 bedroom downstairs, a small kitchen and living room. It's fine for a family with a couple of kids. Is it a huge house? No, but we don't all need $500,000 houses and $1 million houses, right? Like they need to build houses that are actually affordable for people.
I just need a mud hut.
Yeah. Well, we
Like
need
if
to
I
build
could get a mud
apartments
hut.
too.
Yes.
But we need to focus on building houses for the people that actually can't afford. Like taking the GST off is great for people that can afford $500,000 homes and $1 million homes, but it's not going to help the average person. They need smaller houses that are affordable.
That's the thing about the conservative plan is the fact that they don't do anything to help low income people.
Nope.
Nothing. Like $500,000 for a house. You know how much money you need to be making in order to make that
Yeah, the
benefit?
GST is not what's stopping you. The GST is not what's stopping you if you have that money. So
When I was a kid,
yeah.
When I was a kid, $1 million was a ridiculous amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just to me, but to my family.
Yep.
Like my family had never imagined that they were going to have $1 million. So the idea that a basic home now costs that is it's fantasy. It's Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, even just a small condo is $250,000. It's hard. The prices are just too high. We need affordable apartments too. Not everybody can afford to buy a house, but we also need affordable apartments. I think the plan to have a Canadian company, like government owned housing, is a great idea, because privatizing it is going to end up for profit.
Oh yeah, I think renting should be government owned. That if you want to rent and you don't want to own a home, that the government should have rental units. Then if you want to buy a home, then yeah, you can go get into the private market there. Do your best. Have fun.
Like Scandinavia. I was watching a documentary. I think it's Norway, but I could have the wrong Scandinavian country. But there is no homelessness because they give you an apartment. If you like lose everything, you're given a government apartment. And is it fancy?
Oh, no, magic.
But it's clean and livable. Yeah.
It's better than the shelters.
Yeah, it's your own private area, and it's better than the shelters. So, so they do have much higher taxes in Scandinavia, but the level, the standard of living is much higher as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because your taxes pay for a lot of. I don't have a problem with taxes as long as we're getting the services that we deserve for them. Lower taxes sound great, but lower taxes mean cutting services. Like PP's plan is going to cut services, and he won't say what. because he doesn't want to,
Mm.
but it's probably going to be the dental plan. It's probably going to be cutting health care. It'll probably be maybe taking away the $200 extra for disability that the Canadian government gave that Smith clawed back in Alberta.
Listen,
but
the guy-
that money will come from somewhere.
The
ahead.
guy's not very smart to begin with because he's in the riding of Carleton where a
Yeah.
lot of civil servants work. And he wants to cut 100,000 jobs. Like, you're dumb. You're
Yeah.
dumb. Like,
Mhm.
how can you ask people to vote for you if you're going to turn around? They commute from Carleton into, when you go downtown Ottawa, it's
Yeah.
CRA, it's IRCC, it's all kinds of departments. And he wants to trim that by getting rid of the workers. And it's
Yeah.
like, these are your constituents. Why are
I
you
know.
going to bite the hand that feeds you? You're stupid if you live there and you're going to vote for him. That's just dumb.
You know, I
How is he
used to
doing
think
his
that was
riding?
stupid, but November 2024 changed my mind.
I know, me too. I still can't
You know-
believe that they voted for him.
I'll never, to this day, I will never believe that that was not fixed.
I
I don't
agree
care.
with you.
I don't
Well,
really
they admitted
subscribe
it on
to
3 different
conspiracy.
occasions. Like,
I think it was fixed in a way where it was something because they do electronic voting. I mean, how in all these states that were so close,
yeah,
the swing
Pennsylvania.
states, and you were calling them by the end of the night, like impossible. These ridings that are all close on Monday night, we may not even know because it's all counted by hand. In these places where, for instance, there's the MP Michelle Ferrier, she is in Peterborough. And it's literally split vote, like it's 44 to 45% right now. And the
Wow.
Liberals in the lead, like it's tight. So
Yeah.
counting those ballots, it can come down to maybe in Burlington in the provincial election because of smart voting, it was 39 votes.
Yeah. Now that's my biggest fear is us losing because people don't get out and actually vote, because polls are meaningless if people don't vote.
And the idea is, I just want to say about, I'm a girl, like I find it so ironic because Pierre's always touting common sense politics, right? Common
Yeah.
sense. And he
Yeah.
has no common sense. He has no lack of common sense. So my big hypocrisy for him is you are telling us that we cannot vote Liberal because we've had experience for 10 years of Liberal government. However, your constituency, your Carleton riding has had you for 20 years and you've done absolutely nothing. And you're going to take jobs from them the day after you win the election. You're going to cut 100,000 jobs. Who knows how many people work there? Like, you got to be nuts if you vote for him in that riding. You have to be nuts. You don't have common sense if you put that together. That's just plain and simple. Look at the
I mean,
facts.
common sense is a red flag because common sense doesn't exist. Like, common sense where? Common sense when? Common
Exactly.
sense for who? Common sense for what
It's
context?
just one of
It's
his
like-
catchphrases.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
just,
slogans.
I'm just trying to say that he
Yeah.
he touts common sense, and it's like
It doesn't have
you
it.
don't have common sense because if you did, you would have looked back and like he has literally done nothing for his riding for 20 years. But you go around saying, "How can you vote?" He's just a repeat of Justin Trudeau. We had 10 years, 10 years. You're like, we're looking for change. Well, then your riding
years.
should be looking. Yeah, your riding should be looking for change.
And he was in when
You're
Harper
right.
was in, so you can't say it's because it was a Liberal majority. He could have done things when Harper was in. He didn't. He just
He's
Toes
also
the party
so uninspiring. You
Well,
know,
he's unlikable,
like
but-
his only thing is that he's not a liberal.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, is he cool? No. Is he charming? No. Is he smart? No. Is he quick-witted? No. It's like, what is he? Other than just not a liberal. And that's like when you're talking to these voters, you're like, you're like that kid who followed around the popular girl and the popular boy, thinking that you were one of the in group, but you were actually the ugly friend. You're the ugly friend. You're PP's ugly friend.
That's
Sorry.
embarrassing.
Even the whole even the whole going in jail and third time and all this stuff, that is so Trump-esque. I mean, look what he's doing. He's just gathering up,
They're not-
going to schools and doing things with kids. Like, it's just a step away from that. Like, that's not what Canada is about.
And the
That is not
notwithstanding
what
clause
we're
makes me
about.
so nervous. Like, because that's basically the same thing as an executive order, is my understanding.
Yeah, exactly. That's so Trump-esque. So
And trust
Trump-esque.
me, if he does it once, he'll keep on doing it.
100%.
Like, we talked about the notwithstanding clause in law, and like, from my memory, it was like supposed to be like a severe, like, you know, like, i.e., like the pandemic.
Yeah, like a crisis.
That didn't even. That was an emergency act. It wasn't the notwithstanding clause, right? You were supposed to save that for emergencies, which anytime it has been used, we lose our rights to move within the country for those until the emergency is over.
Yeah.
But that could be up to 4 years.
Yeah.
I
Well,
need
the
to
Emergencies
know.
Act,
4
the
years.
Emergencies Act is created so that the Prime Minister can use it. The notwithstanding clause is not created for the Prime Minister to use, actually. It's not there to be used. It's there to keep in check so that PP isn't going to do what he says he's going to do. The Emergencies
It allows,
Act.
I was going to say right now, I'm reading it. It allows
Yeah.
Parliament and provincial legislatures to temporarily override certain charter rights and freedoms.
Mhm.
That's scary.
It's so funny because just before the Freedom Convoy, I know that's two
Yeah.
ugly words, kind of, what do they call it when they're two?
Yeah.
That on December 31st, there is a CBC show with the political people, Rosemary Barton, and they had asked people questions, and my daughter got selected. And
Yeah.
she asked, when will the Prime Minister evoke the Emergencies Act? Because this was when it was, we were still high in the COVID. Maybe it was December 2020, and they just laughed. Their answer was, she asked the panel, and the thing was, they just laughed at her. They said, oh, he'll never evoke the Emergencies Act. He never will use that. And I'm like, she already knew that that was well within his realm to use
Yeah.
the Emergencies Act, but not the notwithstanding. And the problem is he's so hypocritical that if he uses, where will he stop using the notwithstanding clause if he uses that? Where will it end? That's the
what's
question.
scary. Just like Trump,
Right.
how many executive orders has he pumped out? And what has
Right.
it done for the country?
Right. So where is it going to end? Everybody's like, oh, he'll never do women's rights. Really? Because 119 conservatives voted in the House of Commons. And
He may not literally do it himself, but one of his other MPs will just do it.
correct. So where is it going to end? Where will it happen when he opens up that can of worms and does it?
And I want to point out with the issue of abortion, he's also not talking about funding any women's reproductive health initiatives. So all he has to do is stop funding to cause serious problems for women who need abortions. So
We
even
just
if
have
he-
to look at Alberta.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what Danielle Smith is doing is selling out Alberta Health Services to a Catholic organization that won't offer that service.
Right. So
That's-
your hands are tied.
Exactly. You can technically legally have an abortion in Alberta, but there's going to be no access.
But here's my thing with AB.
Yeah.
My thing is that the Pierre Poilievres of the world have that stigma around AB and why you're getting that, right? And we know what that stigma is. That stigma is that I'm loose, that I'm
Yeah.
using it as birth control, that
Yep.
I'm just going willy-nilly month after month, that I'm accessing the services of AB because, and that's not true, but that's what they hide behind, that they need to control it because people are just using that. And that's the thing that's people don't talk about. It's like,
No.
why are you not allowing women to have this service? What is it about you not let's go deeper, because I know that's what it is. That's your typical.
You gotta
Well-
add to that though, right? Because Pierre Poilievre was adopted. Like his mother was a 16-year-old teenager.
Right.
right? And that plays into like the religious aspect and propaganda of that movement. It's the fact that like all babies should be saved, right? But
Right.
there's also the insidious nature of men purposely getting women pregnant in order to keep them trapped to stay with them, right? Because women, like, once a woman is like, I guess, like, tied down to you, whether that through marriage or children, she's like going to be your wife, and wives come with a lot of labor
Mhm.
they give to men.
Mhm.
And what about access to birth control? What, again, if you can't afford it, you're in the population where you don't have benefits, or you don't,
Doesn't,
you're a student, or you're, in the lower, below the poverty line, or you can't afford it in whatever way. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to make it that it doesn't cost. I
Inaccessible.
hope that will still go forward. So
Well, that's part of Karn's
basically,
plan. Yeah.
yeah, basically you're handcuffing us because you're telling me you're not going to allow me to access free birth control. You're not going to allow me to have, an AB. I mean, there's only one option for you. And I feel that that's where we get into pro-choice, pro-life, my body. Shouldn't I have the right to choose what happens to me? Shouldn't I have that right?
I
And
Absolutely.
I mean,
boy was
that
four.
doesn't. I mean, just to like come in here and mansplain, because as a trans guy, I don't get to do this that often. But like, just thinking as a man, if I want you to be pregnant with my child, I don't want you to have that choice, right? I want the choice to be mine. You're a baby factory, you're a sex factory, you're a labor factory. And so you having this choice over your body, or whether I have to put a condom on or not, like, that just doesn't work for me. You know what I'm saying? Just saying.
Well, and we
But
have
it's
to look at our
also-
neighbors, because PP is mimicking a lot of what's going on in the States, and they want more babies, more YT
But what-
babies.
But what
Like that.
happens if my child gets pregnant and she's married and it's the perfect scenario, but her body rejects the baby and she needs a medical AB? Wouldn't that be terrible here in Canada if my 28 or 29-year-old daughter died? Because that's happened in the US. That has happened. People don't
Yep,
think of that.
yep.
Again, the stigma is that I am loosey goosey. I just do whatever I want. And that's why I'm running around, doing that.
And,
So the
and
thing
the
is,
idea that people are using it as birth control, and I'm sorry, that is not. It is a long procedure, waiting in the hospital, getting the doctors, the medication. Like, why would anybody choose that as a form of birth control? They would.
and I agree with what you said before. I mean, that's not the only reason that, they just think it's, we're using it as a B. Like, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying there's many reasons, but there's also that, right? There's many reasons which men are, like Pierre, are conjuring up in their mind. And, I would just be so upset if, what was supposed to be, my daughter having a baby and then her body not being able to carry it, and it really doing, causing her medical emergency where the doctor said, I'm sorry, I can't take the baby.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not
and-
allowed.
I've seen lives where people say that there is absolutely no reason a woman should have to have an AB ever. And that is just medically wrong. There's ectopic pregnancies, and then there are some
Of course.
pregnancies, and I can't remember the name of it, but basically you reject the fetus,
Right.
and you can go into shock and die. Like,
Yes,
there are very medically valid reasons for ABs.
absolutely. And they're still not able to carry those out in the US under what they did there. Like, they still
No.
can't do that.
Not until
The
they prove that
underlying-
the baby is not viable, and it's never
The
viable
under-
in
yeah.
ectopic. Go ahead. Yeah.
Just like the underlying thing here is like, and I'm like, having, like, being a trans guy, I spent the first 23 years of my life as a woman, and now I live among men. And honestly, you're not, like, for me to think about the concern of your daughter would mean I'd have to think your daughter is a person to think about.
Exactly.
Like,
Well
and
put.
and like that's like at the root of it. Like, don't ask questions about, oh, why this, why that. That is the root of it. Like, and I'm telling you, as an insider who is listening to men speak,
Yeah.
they don't think about you as people. They think of you 100% as an object.
Yeah.
And it
And
is
that's-
brutal work to talk to them about it. But
Oh, I
I'm
bet.
doing it. But
That
that
makes,
is the root.
Thank
that
you.
makes me feel sad as the mom of two daughters that are 25 and 28. Really?
Yeah.
I wanted to add though, it's because of the fact that our human I think it was Matthew Gates or whatever. He posted a tweet the other day stating that like the humans are gonna die out because we are not producing babies. There is also the fact that there is a male loneliness epidemic going along, and you know, if we are not creating our resources, which is the new generation of workers, going hand in hand with that male loneliness epidemic, is why they're like pushing for us to lose access to birth control and ABs.
Well, and if it's going further in the States, they want to discourage women from getting education. That's part of their plan. Because women who
Yeah.
are getting education aren't pregnant.
Oh, did you
At
hear
the same
about
time.
what was it, Arkansas or something, where they're trying to remove consent from the literature on sex ed?
Oh,
They don't think
geez, no.
consent
I'm
is
not
necessary?
surprised, but I wouldn't.
It's
I'm
also the
beyond
state
being
with the highest
surprised by
rate.
anything. But
Next
yeah,
thing you know, we'll have chastity belts brought back, and we'll be rolling back the time under our.
yeah, there'll be exams before you get married.
Yeah.
Like it's disturbing because we are following the American trend on the conservative side, and a lot of conservatives just do not want to see that, or are completely. I don't know. I don't know how they can't see it. Like it's so clear. It's so obvious.
I wanted to add to that because I forgot that point. Sorry. So earlier I was watching this TikTok that was talking about how we, you know, on the left always look at people on the right being like, how are you voting in your best, like against your best interest?
Mhm.
And the video talks about it and it explains it perfectly. And that is the fact that they are voting for YT supremacy. And that's what they
Yeah.
think is in their best interest.
Right.
How though? Well, I guess if you're a YT man, but
No, even like those who, okay, so being close to being YT gives you, like, if you are delusional enough,
yeah,
I'm gonna say delusional, that being close to and having proximity to whiteness is going to give you safety.
yeah,
But
Mhm.
that's why I say delusion, because there is no proximity to safety that is going to, like, that proximity to whiteness is ever going to give you. It's not there.
no. But
Like,
So let me-
even
let
white
me
women
ask-
know this.
Let me ask you guys this then. Why do you think the people that support Pierre think that he will never ever bring or try to roll back abortion? Because I've been met with many comments over the last couple of months that say he will never touch
I
abortion.
know.
When
That's
it's
because
been
they're not
proven.
researching.
Sorry?
They're not researching the actual how he votes, because he's voted against I forget the wording of the bill, but he's voted for abortion multiple different ways, and
He's
does not-
anti-choice. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the word
very
we're
clearly.
going for.
Anti-choice, very clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's a similar situation that we saw that happen down in the South, where you have a lot of people. So what PP does really well is he doesn't have any actual statements, values, or plans. He just kind of gives out these slogans and these things to say. And so what that allows is for his followers to attach whatever their belief is to him. So
Yeah.
they're not anti-abortion, but they're pro-PP. And so
Yeah.
because PP hasn't actually said anything out loud, right? They just assume, well, obviously PP is not saying this because that's not my values and I agree with PP. So really what's happening is these people are gaslighting themselves and then trying to gaslight you at the same time.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
he has said that he's very, very careful in his words, and this is what I say to the conservatives who say this. He is very careful about how he words things. First of all, nothing is in his plan as far as I can see. And when he has said something like during the debates, he said, I will not restrict access, or I will not change the law. He didn't say I will not restrict. He said I will not change the law on abortion. But that doesn't mean he's going to support it, meaning the government doesn't have to give money to anybody that is, you know what I mean, any of the charities that work on this. And one of his ministers can simply put forth a bill. So, like, he words things very carefully. He will not bring a bill. I don't think he'll bring a bill himself forward, but one of his ministers will.
Of course, and there's lots of them. There's
Yeah.
lots of them.
Tons of them. They've already tried.
He might turn
They've
it
already
into-
tried with giving fetuses rights. So
They
It's sort of again hypocrisy when you're passing out donuts and coffee at a freedom convoy rally where people want the freedom of choice to wear a mask and get vaccinated, but yet you cannot make a correlation between that and a woman's right to choose her own what's happening to her
Exactly.
body. I find that kind of, again, he's just a whole bunch of hypocrisy for me. Like,
well, the whole vaccine thing. He's against the vaccines, but, or at least having to have vaccines, but he's not against taking away our rights to make decisions about our own body.
correct.
Mm.
They
it
were
comes
all
to
so
that.
mad, and he was down there supporting them. So I mean,
Mhm.
what is it? I don't know if we have last time, but I wanted to also ask the panel's question on this anti-woke, and he slipped into his plan. He was like, "Oh, like, did you read that?" He put that in there, and he's not going to support universities and colleges who have an anti-woke
Yeah. Or don't
approach.
have a woke agenda. Yeah.
Or have a woke agenda or policy, or that
Yeah.
they subscribe to it. And I just wondered if you wanted to touch upon that, I guess, before.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
would
if
love
that's-
to, because I went to, I got my degree from Laurentian. And
Okay.
at Laurentian University now, you have to take an Indigenous Studies class to get your degree in anything, which I think is
Okay.
fantastic.
That is fantastic.
Are they going to end up getting threatened because of that? Probably, because again, that's woke.
Who defines woke? Where is woke?
Exactly.
Is woke
What is
defined
woke?
somewhere?
He won't even
What is
define it.
woke? Yeah. What is he going to write the definition of woke? Do we have to follow his? What is woke?
And
I
he
mean-
also
Woke-
wants to take away funding for universities who do studies on woke agendas. What is woke? Is that women's studies? Is that too woke? So are we going to not do studies just like the United States? You can't have a word woman in your research studies now, or they won't fund you. Is that what's going to happen here? And if it's not women, will it be LGBTQ?
ZB.
Will it be autism? Who knows? It's very scary. ZB, did
It
you have any
is.
thoughts on
Okay.
this?
Yes, I do. Like I've said before, that man is a complete idiot, and I really wish he would leave social sciences alone.
Yeah.
Because how can you
preach.
sit here and say racism only existed because of the liberals in the last 10 years when we have legislation that quite literally classifies a whole ass race? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I quite literally could rant about that alone forever, because how are you supposed to be, like, he really tries to pretend to be educated on crime and sociology. For those that don't know, criminology is a branch of sociology. Okay.
Yeah.
So when he starts talking about those things in particular, I'm like, you didn't even take sociology 101, and I can tell by how you talk about the woke agenda. Because what is being woke is actually having empathy for your fellow person.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say person because of the fact that that is covers all range about all people who are marginalized, whether
Yeah.
that be part of the alphabet mafia, or people of color, or women.
Yeah.
And for him to be saying that he's going to go after that, like, it really screams Project 2020.
Oh yeah. Well, he's part of the IDU, and so is
Yeah.
Stephen Harper. So is the USA, the Conservatives or Republicans in the United States, and it's scary because Harper is the kingpin behind the IDU right now. or at least
Mhm.
he's the face of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who knows? But I
I
really
mean,
worry about this whole going after the woke agenda because, like you said, woke is it's an idiom that is taken from the African American community in the United States and twisted because really it just
Mm-hmm.
meant to see things as they are, to be aware, to be socially,
yeah.
to see social justice issues, to see the harm that can be done, to see racism. That's really all it meant, and he's twisting it into being a slur. And so, and it comes from Trump. Trump started it, twisting woke to
But
be a slur.
how far do you extend it? Like you can take feminism
Yeah.
um,
Mm-hmm.
in university. That's a course, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that too woke for Pierre Polyev that we are
Oh,
aware
hell yeah.
of feminine issues? Are we,
Yeah.
take a look around. This is how Canada is progressing. I'm 60, almost 61 years old. I consider the word woke meaning aware, like you just said. I am aware that there are different
Mm-hmm.
cultures, backgrounds. There are different, I'm just aware of what's going on and I accept it as it is and I can learn about it. Like there's all
Yeah.
kinds of things to be aware of, and that is Canada. So why
Yeah.
does he get to draw the line and then all of a sudden say we won't have any woke? So basically it is a white man's world. That's what we're
Exactly.
hearing, which is exactly
Exactly.
like the US, which is what Trump is trying to do, which is what we tried to do. The word is, a lot of phrases have truth to them, and one of them is history repeats itself.
Yes.
If
And right now we are
if I
repeating history. Go
It
ahead.
is repeating it.
if I could define woke, I like to kind of give it as a bit of a thought experiment. But imagine the king and all of the peasants and the people in the house are saying, wait a second, who said that this guy is special? Why are all of these people in power? Why don't we have enough to eat? Why are people dying in the streets? What's going on?
Yeah.
And it's easy for you to think about the peasant thinking about the king that way, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about the king is not going to want his peasants to be thinking, oh, they're questioning what's going on. So what they're going to do is they're going to start a campaign to prevent the peasants from asking what's going on. So that's what woke is. It's realizing the king doesn't have power and we do.
Mhm. Let's just hope everybody uses it on Monday and
Oh
gets
my
out and
gosh.
votes.
Yes,
That's my biggest fear is that people
I've
aren't going to
made
vote.
my content has been interdispersed with different content, but I keep coming back to my daughter has a human rights and conflicts studies. That's her undergrad. Okay. We went to The Hague. She took a semester, International Criminal Court. So the thing is she teaches me a lot. And she said, listen, Mom, what I'm worried about is conservatives show up to vote. They show up. They have a deep, loyal fan base, and they are going to turn up to vote.
Yeah. So we
And
need
as
to.
much as we don't like to hear that, you have to acknowledge it and accept it. We're sitting here thinking, oh well, they shouldn't be. We don't agree with it. Like they're crazy, right? Right. But the truth is they're gonna show up. That's what's gonna give them the numbers. So we have to show up to vote. You cannot leave it to your neighbor, to your friend, to your grandparent, to your sister. You must vote. You must go and vote. You have to. This
Yeah,
is the
and-
most important because I will not see him elected as the prime minister because we didn't show up.
Exactly.
If he
That's-
wins
I feel like that, yeah.
because it was, 49 to 50, basically, or whatever, you know what I mean? And he
Yeah.
won fair and square. But if he won because, the majority of conservatives all got out to vote. And
Yeah.
we didn't. We sat at home and thought it was taken care of.
Exactly.
is
And
not-
we can't. So everybody just
Can't.
vote. I already
Vote,
voted.
vote,
Vote. Vote like your
I'm work-
sovereignty depends on it.
I know, but I made a little
Oh,
post.
like your life depends on it,
Your
really.
life, Your does. It does. Or it does. I don't want to be suppressed like the United States. I don't. It's
I have two
very
kids
scary.
if they're pulling like the autism and ADHD thing and special, like my kids both have special needs. Like they're older, but like, am I going to have to leave the country because of fear that they're going to get institutionalized? You know?
And we're, yeah, we can't risk any of it just because we
No.
didn't get out of our chair
And that's
and go,
that's just
go
me.
to the go
How
to the
many
local
people?
school. And I know lots of people are putting, I'm just doing a public service announcement that I am working the election. I did get trained.
Okay.
And,
Awesome.
you know, all that BS about the pencil, it's not possible. It is
I
so
know.
not possible. First of all, I'd
You
like to tell
wanna
you,
tell us the training? Yeah, tell us the story.
well,
Tell us what it's like.
well, the thing is, it's very, oh my gosh, you didn't realize, first of all, I did not know that it was all manual. The federal election is
100%.
always manual. I don't know. We just went through a provincial in Ontario. So, I mean, we have that one is electrical, you know what I mean? Scanners. But this is
Yeah.
all counted. So first of all, basically, I'm just going to tell you how the votes are counted. So when
Okay.
it's 9:30, the doors are closed, and we have a tape that goes over the slot where your ballot goes in. Then someone is watching at each polling station, which is the term for the table where you put
Yeah.
your vote in the box. And you corrugate, you take your pen and you go around the top of the box so that you open it like a lid. But the
Yep.
slot has the seal over it, so no one else can, you know, after 9:30, put it in there. Okay.
Yep.
So it's opened up. We have two people on the table, and like picture a big piece of paper divided into 4 or 5 if you have 5 candidates. I don't know how they're going to do it in Carleton. I think they have 91. But so let's say there's 4 for now. Okay. And they have the names Bob Smith, Brenda Smith, Joe Smith, and, you know, Stuart, whatever. And
Yep.
so when the guy pulls out singly each time the vote, he opens it up and turns it over there saying 1 vote for Bob Smith. And he puts it down on the quadrant that has Bob Smith's name on it. Okay.
Yep.
He doesn't have time to pick up a pencil, an
And change a
eraser,
vote.
and change it because
And people are watching.
he has a person sitting beside him who has a tally sheet, and it has Bob Smith, Joanne Smith, whatever, all
Yep.
on columns. So she puts or he puts a tick in the column for that person's name.
Yep.
You keep doing that. If there is a spoiled one where the person has spoiled it, that's the only way it can be spoiled. So you drew a big X diagonally across all of the names. That goes into the rejected.
Yep.
At the end of the night, it is sort of like, you know, those Purolator envelopes where you pull off the tab. So you're going to have to put from your polling number the tally sheet that says Bob got 150 at this polling number, like, you know, in the area. Sally got this number, Susie, Jack, and they all have to match the tally sheet. They're clipped
Yeah.
and they're the actual ballots. Those go into the envelope and they're sealed. Now,
Yep.
before 9:30, representatives from the candidate's office also can be in there because they are phoning back to their candidate's office and saying, Bob, you got 500 votes that they counted for you in this polling, like giving them an idea. Or Sally, you got 700 votes, right?
Yeah.
They're telling them back to their candidate's office and reporting back to them. Now, there may not be enough at everyone in your area. There might be bigger polling areas, but
Yep.
there's no room for error. You can mark with an X, you can mark with a cross, you can mark with a check mark, you can mark in red, green, marker, black, blue. You can do whatever you want.
Crayola.
You can fill in the circle completely as long as only one circle is marked. That's it. Otherwise, if it's only one circle that's marked in any way, it is a good ballot.
Yep. And I have a friend that's doing this too, and she's is it a validator or what is the word? But
There's
she's just there to watch. She watches everything.
yes,
That's her job.
yes. There's a registration officer. There is
Yeah.
an information officer. The information officer are the people who greet you at the door and say, "Do you have your identification and you have your maybe voter card?"
Yep.
And then the registration officer is overseeing everything. There's supervisors, and then there's the people at the recording. the recorders, to take your ballots all day long. And they have to balance all day long. There's no room for error or
Well,
cheating.
yeah, her job is to watch the whole thing, and then she takes the
Yep.
box after it's counted and it's emailed or something, like, or like it's sent
You have to
via
actually,
computer.
you
Then
have
you
to
have to
go
bring the
over.
box. Yeah, and then she
Yep.
brings the box somewhere to be capped for a second count
Yep.
if need be. So all the
Yep.
contents of the box are intact and they're ready to be recounted should need be.
So when Carney wins, it will all be on the up and up. That's what I'm
it will
saying.
be, and but PP is already sowing the same thing that happened in the States. I'm telling you, I think PP will, or I think PP's going to lose. I do believe Carney's going to win, and I unfortunately believe there's going to be an epic tantrum from the conservative side, and what that's going to look like, I don't know. I'm worried. I'm worried.
I hope that PP loses a seat. I
Me
really
too.
do.
He deserves to.
I think
he
so.
needs. He's not a great leader in the first. Like
No,
yeah.
I would
It's
have
not
actually.
like the guy's so charismatic, you just love him. Like I can't see that
No.
about him. He's
I
just
think
a
out of-
fear-mongering, hate-ish guy.
Out of Andrew Scheer, Aaron O'Toole, and
Yeah.
PP, I think PP is my least favorite. I think I
Yeah.
would have rather seen Aaron O'Toole at this level than I would have seen, the lesser of two evils. Don't really, I don't think he would have been as, I don't know.
Yeah, some
I
some
just-
people think it might end up being Doug Ford.
Yes.
That is a possibility.
Yeah, that's an
At
ex.
least
I'm just saying.
I don't like Doug Ford's policies, but he's a more likable person. If that makes sense.
I shared a post today, and
Yeah.
Pierre spent the most money. I reposted.
Oh,
The
I know.
Conservatives have spent the most, combined NDP and Liberal.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, PP spends more per month, like on average, than JT did. Like
well,
just-
no
just
matter
in-
if he loses the election, he won't remain as the leader.
I very much doubt it. I
No,
think,
I doubt for sure.
even if he wants to stay, they're going to want him to step down. That's pretty typical when you lose, especially after having 2 years to campaign. And did you hear that Jordan Peterson interview where he's talking about how Trump didn't know any better, and that supporting PP would cause this to happen in Canada, for Canada to switch back to left and vote for Carney.
It's the
So-
one thing his PhD was useful for.
Exactly, one thing. It's the only thing I've said. It's like, oh my God, he's actually speaking a truth. Not
Yeah.
like Trump screwed up.
He
by
did,
endorsing- yeah,
and like, I think like if this was just like an election, I don't know if I'd be supporting Carney, if I would still stick with the NDP to try and go for a minority government.
Yep.
But like in this situation right now with Mark Carney, there's like a possibility that Canada could become a big powerhouse
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
in the
Mhm.
world. Mark
Mhm.
Carney
this is an
is
opportunity.
kind of the perfect guy for the job. Like I don't like he's a World Bank guy. I don't love that. But
Mhm.
he's just for this situation, there's a strong possibility that Canada could be headed for a big shift in its power in the world because
Yes.
of this guy's connections.
Well, because the United States is isolating right now. They're doing the isolationist bit and just looking out for them. And that mentality is cutting them off from the rest of the world, plus the tariffs, right? So we have an opportunity, and it's going to be a tough bunch of years. Like, there's no way we're not going to be affected, but we have the opportunity to make ourselves valuable to the rest of the world by picking up some of the slack and getting involved in
100%.
trade between other countries. And like that's why like the whole carbon tax thing, again, I'm just going to touch on that quickly, and then I guess we should wind down. The carbon tax, in order to trade with a lot of countries, you have to have an industrial carbon tax. It is expected. Or like you can't trade with the EU unless you have a carbon plan,
Correct.
carbon tax plan. So
Yep.
getting rid of the carbon tax is cutting us off from those opportunities. And I don't mean the consumer, I mean the corporate carbon tax.
I
So,
think that the
yeah.
carbon tax was pure like brainwashing. Like I don't even think
was.
people knew what really it did, right? Like
I know.
how it really worked. I really don't. I think
Can
that you just heard him. That was the one thing where repeating really
Worked.
worked.
Oh yeah,
I
people
do.
well, it's like the pipeline, the anti pipeline bill is not an anti pipeline bill, but people believe this stuff because he drills it into their heads.
I do not understand. Like why? Like, cause I mean, maybe it's my background coming from like poverty and homelessness and stuff, but
Hmm.
I don't get what everybody is complaining about how the liberals have done such a bad job.
I know,
We're
me neither.
still one of the greatest countries to live in. We
Hmm.
still have really low, starvation,
Hmm.
things. We have universal health care. We have one of the highest rates of literacy. We have the most post-secondary educated populations, like among the highest. It's just like, yeah, we're not the big economic powerhouse, but you know what? Nobody is doing very well right now. Like there
Yeah.
are a few European countries that have been getting some economic growth. China is doing pretty well. There are some countries, but this idea that Canada is like, you spoiled brats. You
Well, it's
spoiled brats. Do
PP's
you
been
know
drilling it into
what
their
it's like
head.
to not? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like this is one of the best countries in the world to live in.
Hmm.
What do you
Weren't we
think the
ranked
liberals
number
did? What did
one?
they take from you?
Nothing. And we did like through COVID, we lost less than half of the people per capita to COVID than the United States did because of the measures we took. Lives matter.
Yeah,
Lives matter.
it make
And
like I
I
don't.
what we rate out of the GDP countries. We rate so high, do we not? Aren't we number one or in the
yeah,
G7 or something? Like we're
Yeah.
so. That's what I'm telling you. It's propaganda. It's a bunch of
it is.
just selling people a bunch of stuff to convince them, and they just I don't know. One of the things I am totally for freedom of speech and freedom of
Hmm.
expression, which are two different things, and
Yep.
I like that. But honestly, I think that there should be something about printing the prime minister's name on a flag with the word FUCK. Like I just don't think that should be allowed. I really don't.
Well, and
That's
these are people that
embarrassing. That's
that scream the children, the children. Are you kidding
the
me? What are you
that's
teaching these kids?
that it's embarrassing as a country on the world stage that you
I
capture people.
I
That,
can't agree with that because I would love an FUCK Trump flag right now. I
well,
would
that's
like, I would love that.
but I this is one of those things where I don't know for sure. Maybe you can Google it. I don't know,
Hmm.
but I did hear years ago that Harper put a stop to that. People were doing that with his name, and he was like fining them because it's not okay to go
Or
around.
stop Trudeau or stop Harper, because I can still see stickers around on my stop signs from that.
Really,
Stop
Yeah,
Harper.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
it's
yeah,
just
but
the
Trudeau
FUC.
let them do it. But if he hadn't, they would be complaining that they didn't have their freedom of speech. So it's hard to win.
I just saw
And
somebody, I don't know if it was a joke TikTok that they just said, oh, number one rule on the first day when Prime Minister Carney is elected, no more F Carney flags are allowed. Like
we
you
Wouldn't
get,
blame them though.
we
They're
also
atrocious.
we don't have to respect our politicians.
Hmm.
Like we don't have to.
no,
Like there's no. It's not like they're people that are like benevolent and now deserve our undying love. That's messed
No.
up. That's like saying that the cops deserve our respect. They don't.
no,
That's their
no.
job. But I mean, we respectful to them. If I'm in, sitting here in a situation with, PP, I'm not gonna smack him in the face. So that's what I'm thinking,
Right.
Hmm.
right? But, we don't, say whatever the hell you want about a politician. Say whatever the hell you want. I don't care because this is a person who is in a position of power,
Right.
and
The
power.
slandering is not slandering exactly, but like for example, there are people going after Carney's wife, Carney's kids, and that's not
Yeah.
acceptable. That's not acceptable. A hundred
That
percent. I'm
I
sorry.
think kids should always be off the table.
that is
Absolutely.
yes, that is, but that's not saying that you can't have a flag that says FUCK and the prime minister. right? You can go after the prime minister. Going after somebody's family, that's never okay. Never.
No. Like I would never say
Because
anything about
that's
PP's kids. Like
no.
it doesn't
That's
matter. Like,
that's not his
relevant.
fault.
It's
They
not
didn't get to
relevant.
choose whose balls they came out of. But
Mm-hmm.
this idea that like to be put into a position of power, this is something that I think is missed with a lot of people. Power is not authority, it's privilege. The authority is still within the people. A job of a leader is for the success of the people who follow them. That's it. It's not about them. It's not about how great they are, right? A leader does not want feedback in the sense of like, oh, you're so great, you're so wonderful, you're doing the greatest job. They want feedback that says, hey, this is what works for me. Can you do this more? This is what we need more of. Hey, I need help. You need a mentor. You need someone who is there to take the heat and still stand up strong. A leader is not somebody who wants, love and respect. That is a narcissist. A leader is silent.
Like Trump. Trump is a narcissist. Like he wants the attention. He wants the attention. And I cannot see PP as leading this country. Like that is, can you see him like meeting the king and like diplomatic things? And I can't. He's angry guy. That's all I get from PP is angry guy.
I commented once, like, look what they did to Zelensky and how they made him feel in that Oval Office. Now, Pierre isn't taking comments from reporters. I assume it's because he's not an off-the-cuff type of guy. Like, he doesn't know well enough. Like, he's very scripted. So I feel like not taking questions or having them, pre described to him and everything is because he's not good off the cuff. He doesn't know, he's not convinced in what he's doing. He's not assured about his leadership. So I think it all has to be done. So imagine him in the Oval Office and this guy's sitting there with JD Vance and they're talking to him and it's there and there's cameras and reporters and Trump's running roughshod all over him. That's all I can think of. I can't think of him standing up. And look what they did to Zelensky. Like it would be
Zelensky is pretty
horrible.
awesome.
Yes, he's strong. He was, and they still made him feel so terrible and so small, but he was trying to talk back. I just think about that moment where how's he going to be on the world stage? How is he going to be? He's a little bit condescending, is he not?
Oh, he's very condescending. At least I get that impression from him. But I don't think he'll be able to be in the world stage, and I think he's going to look just as weak as I think he is. And for some reason, the conservatives are touting him as a strong leader, and I don't know where they're getting that from. Just because he yells a lot, I don't, or complains a lot. I don't know. Is that what strength looks like? Is complaining? I have
It looks
no idea.
looks like sloganeering.
Yeah. How is that strength? I don't know how they attribute his characteristics to strength. I don't get it because I don't see it. Whereas in Carney, I can see him being a leader, like a strong leader in a situation where it's needed. He has been. He's already demonstrated that he's a strong leader. He's already done amazing work, in my opinion. I think Carney's doing fabulous right now. And Trump is not going to go away, and it's not going to be an easy situation. It's going to keep coming up again and again. We need someone who can roll with it and can answer things quickly, not have to run back to his mentor to get the right answer. Because PP doesn't answer questions he's not expecting.
Yeah.
Could I speak for a hot second? So,
Yeah, I was going to say, let's wind her down, so I'll give everyone just a chance to close out. You go ahead, CB.
okay, this is going to be a minute because I want to cover two subjects.
Okay.
So going back to Pierre and the reason why he's going after our rights, just like Project, that I'm not supposed to mention. It's, remember how the slogan from Donald Trump was "Make America Great"? That's in reference to the 1800s,
I know.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And Pierre is using the same slogan, which that should tell you where we're going if we elect this lunatic. But I wanted to answer a question in the comments really quickly, and that is, does Carney hold the same thoughts that his dad has, because his dad was a teacher at a day
Yep.
school.
Yep.
Okay, so I did read the party platform, and you know, I don't vote liberal. I've never been a liberal supporter. Just so that we're clear, that I'm not simping for Carney here, but his plan overall looks really good and benefits Indigenous people. One of his policies or plans is to give us back more land on our nations. So I'll say that that is a really good stance. There was a bunch of other things in his party plan that looked really good as far as Indigenous peoples go.
Yep.
Which I don't think he would be doing that if he thought the same way that his father thought.
Yep.
Right? Like there's a lot of
No, he really includes, like, in every level, like every
Yeah.
area, Indigenous people are discussed in Indigenous rights. It's not an afterthought. It's embedded.
yeah, it's very much woven in throughout the policy that he is putting forward. And with that being said, I want to say thank you for having me up here, and I'm sure that I
Thank
had
you.
other thoughts, but I am drawing a blank as to what they are.
That's okay. And thank you for being up. You always have so much knowledge, and we really appreciate
It's nice
it.
to meet you, ZB.
And
Nice
Chance,
to
did you
meet
want to
you.
say anything? Close out?
Oh. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna go back to my main point about post-secondary education.
Mm-hmm.
You guys start demanding more. They're like, as a 35-year-old who has worked and who is now going back to college, they are not preparing you for the workplace. They are not providing you the skills that are going to make you successful. These are not people who are experts in the field. These are people with egos who are insecure and who are experts in research. And that is what post-secondary education is right now.
Yeah.
It is training you to be a research. And so if you are in post-secondary or you're planning to go to post-secondary, demand more. And also, a PhD doesn't mean nothing. All right?
No.
It does in research and it does in certain aspects. But when it comes to teaching people how to be successful in life and how to be successful in their career, a PhD is pretty useless compared to somebody who actually has real world experience. So start demanding more. The professors are not what's valuable. You, the students, are what are valuable. Employers are already telling post-secondary schools they don't care about degrees. Employers
they care
do
about
not care.
Results. Knowledge.
Post-secondary education is losing its relevance. So save your money or start demanding more, because this is the problem. This is where power
Well-
is being handed out.
Knowledge is power. That's what I
Knowledge
always
is
say.
power.
There's a slogan for PP.
Oh no. Well, yes, knowledge is power, but I wanna make my point clear. Is these people, right, are the ones who get to hand out degrees and grades. They're the ones who are saying these people are qualified to be in this position of power over vulnerable people. But these people don't have real world experience. These people are arrogant. They're not actually preparing students for the real world. And so this is where power gets handed out. It comes from post-secondary education because these degrees are supposed to mean something.
Yeah.
And so we need to see that the factory floor of power is post-secondary education, and we need to do better. Demand
Well, we need
better.
more practical experience. It's great to know the theories, but it's the practical that is often missing.
It is, and it's also recognizing that, you know what, I don't need to learn how to be a researcher in the first 2 years of my degree. Don't need to know it for the first 4 years. I don't need to learn how to write an APA paper in 6 different courses in the first year, because that's useless to me unless I become a researcher.
What degree are you taking?
Psychology.
Psychology. Yeah, that was my degree, psychology.
Mhm.
I wrote a lot of research papers.
And it's like, for
Yeah.
what?
Well, I don't know. I learned a lot from it. I did. I would admit that I did learn a lot from writing those papers.
But
Because
what-
of the research you have to do. Yeah.
Yes, but the thing is like, you can read that. You can read books. That's what those expensive books are about. And yes, it's important to be able to learn how to understand and read things.
Well, I was going to say, it's
but
not just about reading,
yeah.
it's about how to interpret it, about how to
Yeah.
understand the statistics of it at all those
Absolutely.
levels. Yeah.
But you don't learn how to write a grant. You don't learn how to write a report. You don't learn how to engage with the medical field. You don't learn how to deal with police. You don't learn how to be an advocate. You don't learn how to do crisis intervention with somebody who's going through
Nope, that's
something.
true.
And so it's
It's
useless. It's useless unless I want to be a researcher, because if I mean it's the same thing as like a newspaper. Learning to read a newspaper and watch a YouTube video and learn how to do that stuff. It's available online for free now.
yeah.
It is.
And I've got to shut down soon. I just wanted to give Strong Woman a chance to. Do you have any closing remarks? And then I'm just going to read off the list of shows.
I just have a quick little remark is that, again, I don't want to be FAFO. I don't want to be next Tuesday, start the trend of
I don't want
Can
to
I
have to
say-
be.
fucking around and finding out. I don't know.
Yes,
if I
exactly.
can
We
say
don't need that. We see it happening in the
Because-
States, and
Because I think there are a lot of people, yes, in the States. That was my point. I think of the 50% that voted for Trump, even if they did and it was all legit, that I imagine there's at least 30% that are like, sorry, that they are finding out. And what to make of that is that one thing, when people say about Pierre, oh, he won't do that, he won't do that. If it came out of his mouth at a
Yep.
public place, or it has been moved into action, or he voted against it, there is no reason not to believe that he won't execute it. And that is what the people in the United States are finding out. They didn't
Yep.
really think he would do it. They thought it was, rallying up the troops and inciting really big, oh yeah, this would be great. But when he puts it into action and he's signing executive orders, he put an executive order to put physical discipline back into the hands of the teachers in school. I cannot
Seriously?
tell you, he signed
my
an
God.
executive order with that Department of Education, who called AI A1. She called it A1, that little
Yep.
kindergartners are learning A1, like the steak sauce,
Yep.
not AI. So
I know.
that is the type of stuff they're doing, which is rolling back the clock all the way back, as she said, to the 1800s. Like, we are going backwards, and Canada is not for that. We are,
No.
we
progressive.
are a wonderful country that embraces everybody. And, we all have different things that we're fighting in our lives that are daily struggles, whether it's with family health or it's with finances or jobs or whatever it is. We all have something, and the government and I think this time the government is there to help everybody with everything the best they can. I think Mark Carney's got that. I don't think Pierre has the empathy. I think he lacks empathy, and it's a very dangerous quality to be lacking as a prime minister of the country. You have to have empathy for the people. You have to have that. Otherwise, it's going to turn into something that Canada doesn't recognize and they don't want. And I don't want to
Yeah.
have FAFO. I don't want to be walking around in 9 months going, I never voted for him. I told you guys it was going to be this way. Now we got
I
to
know.
suffer. I don't want that.
Exactly. So the go and vote. If you haven't voted yet, please vote.
Yes.
Is about all we can say.
remember.
Well, thank you so
Yep.
much, Strong Women. Thank you so much for being up here. And I'm going to be maybe live streaming. Carney's last event is in Edmonton, and I'm going to be going. So I might be live streaming
Oh.
it. We'll see. I don't know if
Oh,
I'll
I
be doing it
would-
from my personal account or this account, but
It's obviously tomorrow.
it's tomorrow. Yeah, it's tomorrow in Edmonton.
And what time is it at? At night?
2:30 Edmonton time. 2:30 Mountain
Okay.
time.
So that's our 4:30. So for
4:30
sure, I'll
Eastern.
go in. I'd love to see that.
As
Yeah.
long as they let me, I'm going to do it. So, and I don't think they'll
That's
stop me.
great.
I'll find out. Awesome.
And
Thank you so much.
The polls are open 9:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. in
PM.
every time zone. Not 9:30, but don't wait. And you know what? Stand in line. It's worth it. The hour that you spend will be worth it for the next 4 years or 5 years, whatever it is. It will be worth it. So remember that. Don't be inconvenienced by waiting.
Exactly. So thank you guys for coming. And I just wanted to quickly go over the shows for the week. Next up, we have Radicalized at 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. and he talks about the gray matter of politics and how religion is impacting the political atmosphere. On Sunday, we have The Undamned with our host Zen and Urban, and that is at 10:30 a.m. Mountain, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they focus on the unhoused issues and solutions, encourage political will, leadership, and collaboration among communities and local programs. And then in the evening, we have Happy at 5:30 p.m. Mountain, and or yeah, 3:30 p.m. Mountain and 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tune in for the next shows, and thank you again so much for coming out. I hope you all have a lovely day, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much. And thanks to everybody else if they're still watching that was on. It was a lovely panel discussion. I learned a lot of things.
Me too. Thank you so
Thank
much. You guys have a great
Thank
day.
you. Have a great day, everyone.